a little bit of review. Oh, thank you, Robert. Thanks for remembering. So a little bit of this is going to be some review. We can never get enough review when it comes to dissociation, because I am going to briefly hit on using the DES again, because it is a tool that we just want to make sure that everybody's using. It's a screening tool. I just want to make that clear. We do not use it for diagnosis. And so a couple of the slides will look familiar, but for the most part, we're going to delve into what the interventions are. We're going to go through the 8 phases of EMDR and kind of section them out into what is our triphasic trauma model. And then we're going to do like some demonstrations and go into some detail around what these tools look like. So let me get started on the PowerPoint. So the title, I'm going to be able to see everything. First of all, I'm Paula Marucci. Most of you know me, so I'm not going to spend much time here, but I have been with Robert now, maybe 8 years-ish. But I really appreciate our relationship, our friendship, the work that we do together. We've been on a long journey, and it's just the beginning. So Robert, thank you for all your support and everything that you do. I have my own story, and I'm not going to get into that either, but the long story short is that I did talk therapy for a long time, found EMDR, was like, really, are you kidding me? Why was I even talking? You know, I think that what comes out of this is when we're talk therapists, the therapist is the facilitator of the healing. And when you do EMDR, the brain is the healer. And once we get the brain involved, you know, miracles happen. And I just, I am one of those miracles, in my opinion. Okay, as far as my healing goes, that is. Judith Herman and Peter Levine are two of my heroes and mentors. And, you know, trauma is the most avoided, ignored, denied, misunderstood, and untreated cause of human suffering. And so I'm making this big push, especially in the Chicagoland area, where really all therapists should be trauma informed at this point. And trauma informed, not necessarily with the EMDR, but with any type of orientation, but to understand dissociation and how to use the DS as a screening tool, no matter what clients you're working with. So this is just, I am an EMDR trainer, and I'm just kind of showing off some of the creativity that my marketers put together. And we had a fantastic training in Gurney last week. I think we're going to make Gurney the EMDR training hub, because it's just such a great space we have there. And it was a wonderful part one. Good to be back in person. And then also we are doing online trainings, which is the gift from the pandemic. Online trainings would never have been a thing if we hadn't had the crisis that we had. And it's really amazing how far you can get into some of these communities that wouldn't necessarily be able to learn EMDR. Not to mention some of the clients that are willing to show up online that were never willing to show up in your office. So we've got the online trainings coming up, which is great. Then also, this is where my love for dissociation is coming from. Farnsworth has asked me to join his team, and I'm presenting several sections of this particular advanced training. Personally, I feel that this is like a basic training part 3, and that we all need to know how to work with structural dissociation ego states and how we integrate that into our EMDR as a prerequisite to be doing EMDR, because we're seeing so much dissociation. And then polyvagal is my new love, and I'm going to be presenting this Wednesday. My heart goes out to Ryan Bright at the Family Recovery Center up in Lake Bluff. I have a long history with them, and they have invited me back time and time again to present. And so I just presented the dissociation 1 and 2, and now I'm doing the polyvagal, and all of those are on their website. So if you ever want to see any of those recordings, and if you want to come join us this Wednesday, I'm doing a 2-hour presentation on polyvagal. I'm super thrilled about. I think polyvagal is another must, and I'll be hitting on polyvagal today. So, which reminds me, I should probably keep going. And then here we are. This is, you know, once again, my marketers are great. They do these very creative things. And so here's the advertisement for our our meeting today. And so I just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get going. So if I have to move you, no offense, but everybody's okay. All right. So dissociation, what is it? Why is it important? Well, first of all, when we talk about trauma, we're talking about how it disempowers and disconnects us. We're in isolation. And recovery, therefore, is based in empowerment. It's based in connection. And because I'm a substance abuse therapist, addiction is in isolation and recovery is in community. And so Judith Herman, if there's one book that everybody should read, and it's Judith Herman's Trauma and Recovery. But just know that it can be very traumatizing. And I think I dissociated it through it the first couple times I read it. So, which is kind of funny, actually. The model that we use not only in the trainings that I teach, but even in the PowerPoints that I do are the hear it, see it, do it. I have learning disabilities, I'm dyslexic, and I feel that my trainings are geared toward trying to teach in a way that doesn't involve an incredible amount of reading. So even though there's a lot of words on the slides, but I have a lot of visuals. And so the hear it is my favorite mantra, which is knowledge is power. And not only do I want to empower my trainees and consultees to be powerful in the work that they do, but this also goes for the clients. So a lot of psychoeducation for our clients to empower them. And if you look at motivational interviewing, that is the change agent from pre-contemplation to contemplation stage of change. So knowledge is power. Then we go to our evidence-based research that tells us if we not only read it, not only hear it, not only see it, but you practice it, you're like 80% there. And then of course, maybe I'm not going to say I'm a perfectionist, but I had to take it that extra mile and teach it. But we won't say that that's because I need it to be perfect for me. And then of course, it's about going out and doing it. And so, that's why we're here. That's why we're meeting on this Sunday and we're volunteering our time, is because we want you to feel comfortable in taking what you're learning and putting it out there, putting it into action. So dissociation, what is it? Why is it important? We're just going to do a review real quick. We've got three main words that we want to embrace when we think about dissociation. One of them, I'll just start in the middle, is amnesia. Amnesia is basically just a lack of memory or awareness. It can be time loss that's current, or it can go all the way back to, where language started to become a way to communicate. I have a client that when I first met her, she had no memories under the age of 12. Okay, that's a red flag. That's a sign. If we hear something like that, or I don't have any memories between the ages of 7 and 9, we're going to be doing the DES anyway, but at the end of the day, that's a sign right there that we might want to start thinking about what kind of questions we want to ask that client. And then derealization and depersonalization. You're going to hear those words. You're going to hear different descriptions about what those mean. Derealization in that it's not real, and depersonalization in that it's not me and that it's not part of me. And we'll be talking a little bit more about that as we go along here. This is a very short video that I like to show because it basically sums up everything that we're talking about when it comes to dissociation. If you've seen it before, just know you can't see this enough, and know it's also on my website, which Robert, you could put into the chat, under the resources and dissociation, if you need to show this to anybody.
Do you feel distant from your emotions, thoughts, surroundings, and memories? This is part of something called dissociation. Dissociation is a defense mechanism where you unconsciously push away conflicting or threatening emotions and compartmentalize feelings so that you don't have to deal with them. Within the umbrella of dissociative symptoms, there are two that help categorize the experience: detachment dissociation and compartmentalization dissociation. Detachment dissociation refers to feeling like you have been taken out of your body. Compartmentalization dissociation refers to when your mind pushes aside distressing moments or experiences. This usually results in memory loss. With that said, here are 5 signs you may be experiencing dissociation. Number 1, memory loss. Memory loss is a common symptom of dissociation. You may find yourself at work or school, but unable to remember how you got there. Memory loss is one of the quickest symptoms to identify because it's obvious. The main reason memory loss goes hand in hand with dissociation is because your brain cannot handle whatever is going on, so it switches to autopilot. Dissociation pulls you outside of your body. Hence, it's difficult for you to remember what happens around you if you're not there. But these moments of dissociation don't always occur when we are frightened or distressed. They could sometimes happen while you're doing something. Number 2, derealization. Derealization is another symptom of dissociation. It sometimes feels like a dream where things are colorless, dull, or blurry. Derealization is distressing and can cause anxiety, but it's common for those with anxiety, depression, and other mental illnesses. However, derealization differs from other psychotic disorder symptoms in the sense that there is a degree of awareness. You are aware of reality and the feeling that distances you from it. Number 3, feeling lightheaded. There are many reasons why you may feel lightheaded, but in the context of mental health, dissociation can be a cause. When lightheadedness is paired with another one of the symptoms mentioned above, then the cause is most likely dissociation. The vestibular system is a sensory system responsible for spatial awareness and sense of balance. However, when you dissociate, you are not aware of your surroundings. When you come to, the sudden realization of your surroundings serves almost as vestibular stimulation and makes you lightheaded. Number 4, not feeling pain. Another sign of dissociation is not feeling pain. There is research suggesting that dissociation not only minimizes painful memories, but also the physical pain attached to them. However, the connection between dissociation and pain is not solely related to trauma. People who experience chronic pain can also experience dissociation. For some who experience dissociation as a result of a mental health condition, the feeling of not feeling in your body can sometimes lead you to self-injure. Although it makes sense to do something to bring you back into your body, self-injury is not the best option. And number 5, a loss of self-identity. Another aspect of dissociation is depersonalization. It's similar to derealization in the sense that you feel like you are watching yourself. However, depersonalization makes you feel distant from your mental process. You feel that you're an observer of your own life. Depersonalization can occur with other symptoms on this list. It can be a very scary feeling, like you don't have any control over your body. Some clinicians believe that extreme stress or trauma can produce depersonalization. So, do you relate to any of these signs? Dissociation can be frightening and, in some cases, intrusive. It's not like a physical illness where diagnosis and treatment are administered via exams. But there is treatment, among them being psychotherapy, medication, family therapy, and clinical hypnosis. If you experience any of these symptoms, please reach out to a medical health professional for treatment. Please like and share this with friends that might find some good advice in the video as well.
Okay. Like I said, this video is on my website. I like to have clients watch it in between sessions, just so we have a talking point to start with. And also, before we start looking at some of the tools that we're going to be talking about, Dr. George Fraser, who's up in Canada, he's the one that took the DES, the Dissociative Experiences Scale, and color coded it. He did it for his students, and so I reached out to him to make sure that it was okay that that we use it. And so we have his permission. And then also he said that it's really, and it says this on the DES, the color coded DES, it says if you want to give it to your clients with the colors, that's up to you, or you can give them the black and white one and then transfer the answers over. But also he won the an award for the Fraser's dissociative table technique. We have several names for that. We call it conference room and we call it meeting place. And this is a strategy that we use in our phase 2 to set up parts work or working with ego states. This is an example of yet another wonderful therapist that helps with learning, Sandra Paulson. She's a cartoonist. And this would be an example of the meeting place or the dissociative table that Dr. Fraser wrote a paper and got an award for. And basically how this works, and you're going to see some of this later on, so I'm going to point it out, but this is the conference room that like all the parts of self come to meet in, and you get to design it. And so what we put in our conference room is we can put like a vault with a big lock on it for all the memories. We have a waiting room for maybe some parts that don't want to be in talking about whatever the topic is. We have some positive and negative belief pictures up on the wall. We have a kids room back here with a one-way mirror so that we can see the kids playing if we need to. One of the tools we use a lot is a memory screen. It's a very large screen, but the ones that we have remote controls, and we are able to control a lot of different things, as you're going to see. We have a soothing place. We have a rocking chair for nurturing. And then the way that I have mine set up is really in the middle of the table is the topic that we're going to talk about. So this particular picture, they have the container. My container is the vault, but in the middle of the table will be, you know, if I had something distressing going on and I really wanted to process it with my parts of self, different parts of self, which, you know, is very interesting because a lot of different opinions going on. This is a great place to do it. And so this is what Dr. George Fraser came up with as well as a tool for dissociation. So once again, just to reiterate, he is known for the color-coded version of the DES and for the meeting place, conference room, dissociative table technique. So something that we trauma therapists, we should all know. So measuring dissociation with the DES, what he did was he put what he said is unofficial color coded on there so that we can know what different aspects of dissociation are. So let's see what that looks like. So this is what it looks like. The different colors represent different aspects of dissociation. And so up here on the top left, the different colors speak to absorption, which is really an aspect that we all experience. Amnesia, which we saw in the video and we talked about right away, where we're looking at loss, time loss, that can be anything from recent to all the way back to early age as a child. Depersonalization, derealization. Once again, we just saw that language, saw it in the video. We're going to talk a little bit more about what that looks like. Fantasy prone is an interesting one. This is where a client can literally like hallucinate on demand. That's like the best way that I can think of describing it. But I've got a client that's really able to put herself in certain situations at any point in time. And it's just her way of escaping whatever stress she's experiencing. And she's a teacher and she gets really stressed out in the hallways when the passing periods. And so she literally is able to put herself into a fantasy just in the moment. And so you can see when you look at some of the questions that are this color, what fantasy prone is speaking to. And then ego states, parts work. The parts are going to show up and they're going to block the work if we have a client that's dissociative anyway. So the blue questions speak to, if the client is aware of the parts or not. So we're going to go into this into a little bit more detail. Dr. George Fraser shares, because this is when I spoke with him, that the color coding, the 5 divisions, and these are his quote, roughly reflect the role of dissociation in a client's life. We've got the yellow, absorption, the green, derealization, depersonalization, and then the pink, which is amnesia. Next, we would have the orange, which is fantasy prone, and then the blue is the ego stage, which represents the highest level of dissociation potential, starting with the ego state that blocks your treatment, which you will meet if it's not wanting you to go forward, if there's avoidance involved. So dissociation, what is it? Why is it important? Well, the 2 phenomena that we're going to be focusing on are detachment and compartmentalization. Detachment, when we talk about derealization and depersonalization, is going to interfere with any type of EMDR that you're going to do because the client is not present. And amnesia, we want to be careful because there are dissociative barriers that are set up so that the client does not have these memories, and they're there for a reason, I would imagine, because the content is too distressing. And so we don't want to go in with bilateral stimulation, which is when we're doing eye movements, we're bringing up more and more trauma memories. We don't want to break through those dissociative barriers, because then we're risking that the client won't be able to function. Derealization, depersonalization, altered states of consciousness, and they are characterized by separation. Depersonalization, not in one's body, out of the body. Example, I was outside of my body and I could not feel my legs. I'll have clients that are maybe looking at a memory, talking about something that happened in their past that was traumatic, and all of a sudden they will say that they can't feel parts of their body, or they'll tell me that it's their hand that's telling me the story. And so we have to feel comfortable and kind of have an idea of not only what our client is experiencing, but that we have an idea of what that looks like, so that we're not, I remember when my client had her first non-epileptic seizure, and I got to be honest with you, I was amygdala hijacked. So, but now I have a full understanding of the traumatic energy that's stored in our clients and how that's expressed, and I know exactly what to do, which is just make sure all of my glass tables are not in the way, and allow her to experience it while we together navigate ways for her to stabilize herself. Derealization is, it did not happen to self. It did not happen to me. It could not have happened to me. Just a couple more examples, because derealization and depersonalization, I don't know about you guys, but this was one of the hardest topics for me to understand. So what I did was the DES is the tool that we use. And if you have a DES score that's significantly high, so maybe, I'm not going to put numbers out there because it wouldn't be appropriate, but the next step would be to do the MID, which is the multidimensional inventory of dissociation. And all of these things are on my website if you want to look for them, including the DES for children and adolescents. But I took these questions directly from the MID, the multidimensional inventory of dissociation, so that we could really get like a concrete idea of what depersonalization is. So I'm just going to read a couple of them. Feeling like you are inside of yourself, but watching what you are doing, or standing outside of your body, watching yourself as if you are another person. Feeling mechanical or not really human. Feeling as if your body is unreal. Feeling as if a part of your body has disappeared. So, and then feeling as if a part of the body is disconnected from the rest of you. And like I said, my personal experiences are that the parts of the body are telling the stories, or the parts of the body are not connected. And then definitely have experienced quite a bit of the client being outside of their body in different situations. Then derealization are things around you suddenly seem strange. Things around you seem to change size and shape. Feeling that your vision was suddenly sharper, or colors seemed more vivid. Time slows down. Objects feel farther away or unclear. Feeling disconnected from everything around you. Not being sure about what is real and what is not in your surroundings. So once you've done the DES and you've gotten an idea that potentially your client is experiencing derealization and depersonalization, when they are talking about their experiences, it won't be surprising to you or them, some of these experiences that they're having, because like I said, these are on the MID, the multidimensional inventory of dissociation. And this is how we determine if the clients do experience derealization and depersonalization. The DES, which is the screening tool that we're going to use, the 28 questions with the colors, the depersonalization and derealization questions are all in this greenish color. And these questions right here that are on the DS come from the MID. So standing next to oneself, looking in the mirror and not recognizing oneself, I mean, if your client says to you, I look in the mirror and I don't recognize myself, that's something that you're going to want to know. And you're going to want to know that before you go in and think about doing any type of bilateral stimulation with your client. And then amnesia, the compartmentalization. These are the questions that, oh, actually the questions are the next slide. We're looking at time loss, which is the blackout spells in your memory that can be something that happens during the week. You know, if your client says that, you know, they just really don't know where the time went, and they remembered, you know, starting to write in their journal, and then, you know, 4 hours later, I don't remember what happened during that time. Or coming to, when a client comes to and becomes present and is not sure where they were. Finding objects among your possessions, being told by other people that you don't remember things. The questions on the DS are finding evidence that you had done something that you didn't remember. I had a client that brought in her journal that was all cut. It was cut up and she didn't remember doing it. Long story short, we realized it was a protector part. It was an altar. There's so many different words for it, a honcho. But my client was moving, and my client's part was worried that the part was not invited to go with. And so when she was doing some journal writing about what the move was going to look like, then that part went in and cut the journal up, and she had no memory of it. So just when those types of things are happening to you and your clients, that you have kind of a heads up that these are the types of things that you might be talking about. Finding oneself in a place or having no idea how they got there. The past is present, and we're going to move into, let me just look at real quick. Yes. Okay. So we're going to move into now looking at the phases. But before we do that, I just want to open this up to questions for the DS. I know that this is a review for a lot of you because I presented it in a lot of different venues, but as EMDR therapists, it's important that we all know how to use it, that we all do use it. I'm even in our trainings talking about, we're just requiring it. And if there's any questions around where to find it, or, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about the scores and where the cutoff is for doing the work that we're going to talk about this afternoon. But do you see any questions, Robert?
You're muted, Robert.
Sorry. Go ahead. Tori's monitoring. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just put up in the chat. Feel free to put any questions in there, and they can get a, you know, Paula's attention. But what we got right now from Lisa is what to do when clients take it but don't see their obvious dissociation.
Okay, so then they're not ready to share it, and you meet the client where they're at. So it's just you're not there yet, and then you're definitely not going to be doing anything as far as phases 3 through 6 with any type of bilateral.
And Felice is referencing the mid-60.
You know, I don't really say anything about the mid-60. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just I go right for the mid because Michael Coy and Jennifer have done such an incredible job with it, and the amount of information you can get based on what they've done with it mathematically is just blows me away. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just don't know how you'd score it, and you know, how you could get the information that you get from the mid.
I think that's it for now. Oh, she was saying, what about using the mid-60 instead of the DES? Because it's got the 60 questions a little more in depth than the 28 questions of the DES.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. You're going from 28 questions to 60 questions. And if you have a gut that's a great place to start. I mean, the more, you know, the better. And we're going to talk a little bit about this, but what we do with this DES is we then do a clinical interview, and the clinical interview could then suggest that you might want to do like a depersonalization, or the mid 60 or the mid itself, right? It gives us data. It helps us understand the client's clinical landscape. So I've heard great things about the mid 60. I just don't personally use it.
And Richard Close referenced that the mid has an Excel sheet that does the scoring for you. So
Yep. Yep. Hi, Richard. Yes. So it's amazing what you can get with the mid. And, you know, that's a whole training in itself. And I have to be honest with you, I'm still I am definitely still doing that training. I'll be doing it for the rest of my life. But I come from a math background, and it has bar charts. It charts what a dissociative client would look like, and then it charts your client. It really gives you, it charts PTSD, borderline traits. What am I thinking?
Somatic.
DDNOS, DID. So it's phenomenal. It's just, it's complicated, but that's okay. We're all smart. And it's on my website also. You can apply, just sign up and send them a little bit of information. I'll send it to you and you can check it out. And we cover them in our consult calls because it's a really incredible tool.
I think I can say with relative confidence, I don't know what his schedule is, but I know both Jennifer and Michael do consultation on reading it.
Yep. Good questions. Okay, we ready to go on?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So, and then for those of you that don't know what the mid is for right now, just stick with the, you know, some of you are new EMDR therapists, just stick with the DS for right now. Like there's plenty of time to get into some of these more advanced tools. But the mid can be overwhelming. So the DS does the job. It's a good screening tool. Like I said, we do not use it for diagnosis, but it definitely does what we need it to do as far as, you know, looking at our 8 phases of EMDR. Okay, so Pierre Genet describes dissociation as a defensive response to acute trauma. And when we talk about acute trauma, it can be the trauma of when you were 5, but it's going to be acute in that it's right there and you're in it. It's present for you, or you are not present because of it. And so dissociation is the coping strategy. It's the survival strategy of the client. It's the adaptation that the client took on in order to deal with the trauma that they had. So if you have a client that's dissociating, if you go in and do more bilateral, what happens when we do long sets of bilateral, or any bilateral for that matter? We're bringing up more trauma content. And if the client's already dissociative, that's going to be not advised. Hence why we want to know if the clients are dissociating or not. So according to this view, dissociation is a failure of a memory system to intense emotional and psychological arousal. And once again, that memory system is going to shut down if it's too much. So if the client is experiencing, you know, I just use this as a kind of a big example-ish, but if you've got ritual abuse in your past, okay, you're not going to remember it. In fact, it might take you a very, very long time to remember it because it was just too overwhelming, you know, especially for the younger ones. And then some individuals are not able to process or integrate due to them leaving their functional zone of arousal. And we're going to be talking about that, knowing how to navigate the window of tolerance, knowing how to navigate polyvagal and the autonomic nervous system is all good information and tools that we can give our clients so we can empower them. I just need to honor here the triphasic model that we work with. Pierre Genet from the late 1800s put us a model together for us that has basically been with us up until now, and that our 8 phases of EMDR fit very nicely into these 3 stages. You know, when we're having conversations with other trauma therapists, I'm part of a dissociation group that meets monthly, we're talking about the stages, or maybe they call it the phases. But when we're EMDR therapists and we're talking about what we're doing with EMDR, we're talking about how our where we're at in our 8 phases. And as you can tell, the 8 phases all fit very nicely into the 3 stages. Stage 1 being the stabilization and everything we need to do to prepare the client to do any memory work. We call this the work before the work, or Clough says that slow is fast. So we spend a lot of time in this stage 1. And that's what we're talking about here. Especially for those of you that have come off of an EMDR training, we need to honor where the client is, and we might need to be doing some modifications to our EMDR treatment because they have scored a certain score on the DS, which means that they've got enough dissociation for us to be careful with that standard model. And then, of course, because I'm a trainer, I need to honor the adaptive information processing model because that's what guides EMDR. And so, you know, it's not, a lot of our clients and therapists think that it's phase 4 that is what we're focusing on to do the work, that it's the desensitizing and reprocessing, but really it's the adaptive information processing model that talks about the brain's natural ability to heal, that these past present connections and how past memories feed into current day triggers and symptoms, and that naturally our brain is able to heal this. But because it was maladaptively, they were maladaptive memories to begin with, that they were not stored appropriately. Hence, what we want to do with EMDR is use the bilateral to heal the maladaptive memories so that then they can become adaptive and then reconsolidated, which means they would be restored in our long-term memory. So, you know, just some things I like to say is that it's the natural healing process of the brain. You know, once again, if you're a talk therapist, you're the facilitator of healing. But if we're doing EMDR, the brain is the natural healer and the brain is doing the healing. And we're basically, you know, kind of trying to stay out of the way, or trying to be with the client, I should say, while we're staying out of the way so that the brain can do that healing. So as we move into using interventions and looking at how we're going to modify our standard EMDR protocol, because our clients are dissociative, we're going to take it 1 phase at a time, because that would be the appropriate thing to do. So here we're looking at our 3 stages and how the phases fit very nicely. We're looking how EMDR is our treatment intervention, but that you could be doing many other interventions as well. So like I presented for 325 people last week that were not EMDR therapists, because everybody needs to know what dissociation is, not just us. So with our phase 1, you know, we have our biopsychosocial, our intake, looking at the clients from the AIP perspective. I'm sorry if this bar is in your way. I know it's in mine and I don't know how to get rid of it. And then also our rapport building and our relationship, and starting to work on what grounding and stabilization is going to look like. Rapport building and relationship, I mean, at the end of the day, the therapeutic alliance, that attachment repair is going to be the most important aspect of the work that you're doing. So yes, we have a phenomenal tool that we're going to use, but we need to be a good fit first. And, you know, we always want to take that into consideration. Once again, looking at our phase 1, we're going to be doing our DES as part of probably an intake, is what it's in my intake now. And so what we want to do is we want to add up the 28 questions, divide by 28. And if the score is under 25, we say that you're good to go, even though we still want you to go in and do a clinical interview with the questions that the client scored above a 20 on. So, and then for those that are above a 25, if you're in if you've done your 10 basic hours, you wouldn't be at this meeting, I don't think. Maybe you are. But anyway, and then if you've got some type of consultation, which everybody should be doing some type of consultation, you just want to bring it to the consultant if you don't know what to do with it. But what we do recommend that you do next is to take each question that the client answered and then do an interview and just ask, when you say that you look in the mirror and you don't, you see someone else, tell me a little bit about that. What is that experience like for you? How far back does that go for you? Is this something that's been happening, since you were a child? Is this something that you've ever heard of in your family system? So we look at it as almost like a parts interview. We want to get to know how that dissociative part experiences life, and we're also normalizing it and validating it for the client. And so we don't go forward until we get that information. Because if a client says that they hear voices and the voices want the client to hurt themselves, then we need to maybe go into what would be more of a crisis session or a safety session, or we're going to look at doing the mid. So using the DS once again as a screening tool, but also to set up your clinical interview to understand your client's clinical landscape before you go into the trauma work, like our 8 phases. So, oh wait, let me just back up here. So when we're looking at a DS of greater than 20 or 25, we are thinking about how we can keep our client in dual attention. That's like the way they say it is, EMDR is great and it's going to be wonderful and you're going to do just fantastic as long as your client doesn't dissociate. And so hence, yes, the screening tool, but also what does that exactly mean? Because dual attention is like the cornerstone of the work that we're doing. Not only dual attention because we want to be doing EMDR, but also we want to be in attachment with the client. And so that dual relationship is going to be what's going to assist with dual attention. And so here I just like putting language to that where we're saying the adult part is present in the room with the therapist. And then we are looking to, at the same time, access the past, which is going to be the trauma memory. So a foot in the present and a foot in the past. We don't want the client to be reliving the memory, which means then we are not with them. And we also don't want the client just in the room and not able to access the past, because we do need some disturbance in order for us to have something to work with. So we're looking at present time orientation and dual attention awareness. And when our clients dissociate, that's what we're missing. So if we can figure out how to hold dual attention, then we will be able to keep the client from leaving us and going into a dissociative state.
Paula, is there a little assessment for that before you dive into the work?
What do you mean?
Like for someone's capacity for dual attention, when you're doing the history taking and the assessment and getting a feel for them, is there anything you're kind of looking for that clues you to that?
You know what, Brian? No, I don't have anything. Could you help me with that? I mean, not right now, but I don't have anything in the presentation that I would use, and I'm not sure what I would recommend. What are your thoughts on it? Oh, I'm sorry, you're muted, Brian.
I begin to, once we start getting into a little bit of the work, then I pay attention to that capacity, but it's not usually in phase 1 or 2.
Okay. So it would be.
That's why I was wondering whether there was anything in the early phases that might be clues to that you're looking for before you start bringing up what you're targeting.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't you and I touch base after the presentation? Because I'm kind of hoping that the interventions that we're looking at kind of do that automatically. But if you've got something specific, I, obviously would love to put it in here.
Yeah, and just as a general thing, I usually tell some of my folks that work with me is that how are they doing? And Paula, you just sort of added to that as well. Like, how are they doing on the resourcing on some of these resources that ask them to be present, right? If there's a real struggle, that's usually a sign for me that I'm not about to jump in any process. And if they can't do something like breathing or just any of the containers, some people have struggles with, but I think what Paul is going to be presenting this other material are other ways that are more accurately reflect, some of that ability to stay present. But that's just a general thing.
Excellent. Nope. Okay. And, Brian, my work is always a work in progress. So, if we could find something to put in there that addresses that, that would be great. Okay. So now we are moving into our phase 2 preparation, but what we're doing is, because we have a DS score or screening tool that's suggesting that our clients are not going to be able to manage the standard protocol. And to Robert's point, it could be that they can't do peaceful place or container, that they're not able to state shift. I mean, we use our phase 2 tools to observe our clients to see what it is that they can and can't do. So one of the things that we recommend here is just doing a basic psychoeducation on window of tolerance, so that can be a conversation. Once again, the knowledge is power, empowering the client with new information in order for them to understand what a state shift is, when they are in, in and out of different zones of arousal, how to monitor that, which is where polyvagal comes in. And so that's what we're going to be doing in the next 2 sections that we're going to be looking at is window of tolerance, emotional regulation, just a real brief comment on parts work, and then looking at the polyvagal perspective. And I don't know, maybe Brian, this will answer your questions, because we're going to teach the clients and have them learn how to shift in and out of different states in from a polyvagal perspective, and then also be able to recognize when they're entering and leaving the window of tolerance. So
Paula, we have a question from the chat. So Paula from Sherry, I heard someone say that if the client is out of their window of tolerance, they're being re-traumatized. That seemed very black and white to me. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I don't know that we can determine if they're being re-traumatized, but what we do know is that whatever it is that is triggering them, that the arousal is too much for them to stay within the window that we need them to be in order to do the work. That's a very black and white statement. And I don't know that we can even define what trauma is for a specific person, right? But we need to, as therapists, make sure that they're within their window of tolerance for us to proceed with our trauma tools. And so that's what we're looking at here. Does that help? I don't know if that helps.
You said thanks.
Okay, good. So we're going to look at window of tolerance first. And window of tolerance, I don't need to spend a lot of time on this, but we've got the ability to receive information, the ability to process that information, and then the ability to, that should say, and integrate the information. And when a client is dissociative, that is not possible, because the client will be present when they're in their window of tolerance. But the opposite of being present is when we are dissociative. And so once again, we need to figure out what we're going to do about that. The key words here are fractionate, titrate, pendulate, and educate. You guys know me, I love mantras, so I was all over this one. So I just had to make a slide specifically for this language. Fractionate, titrate, pendulate, educate. This is what we're going to do with any clients. Now, if a client has complex trauma, you're going to be doing this anyway, but looking at what we mean by pendulate, maintaining the window of tolerance, keeping the client mindful and present. We've got Clough saying slower is faster, and Dini saying we need to do the work before the work. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is keep the client in the present moment. And then the pendulate is when we pendulate into the trauma memory for a brief amount of time. And then we bring the client back into their mindful present moment. And what do we do with the content that we're going to be targeting? We're going to want to make sure it's fractionated into a very small piece. We can titrate it so it's not as strong. And then we can also be educating our client around, once again, when they are in or out of their window of tolerance. Now, window of tolerance, emotional regulation. I like mantras. A lot of you that work with me know that I like my little sayings. We talk about the 20-80 rule, where 20% of what is happening is about today and 80% comes from the past. We talk about how knowledge is empowering. So the more that we can educate our clients, the better when it comes to emotional regulation and being in the window of tolerance. Half of change is acknowledgement. If we know that the client is leaving their window of tolerance, or the client is having trouble stabilizing through breathing, grounding, container, peaceful place, and secure your space, then we know that that's where the work is going to be. And then we use name it to tame it from Daniel Siegel also as a way for the client to use as a coping strategy as they're starting to understand how the window of tolerance works, how emotional regulation works. And then more importantly, when we get to it, the autonomic nervous system, when we talk about polyvagal. So the goal is for the client to be able to, like I said, receive the information. So take the target, process it, and process is accelerated new learning, and then integrate it. And we cannot do that if the client is not within that window of tolerance. And yes, I will get to what the window of tolerance looks like. Just a minute. I love this saying from Kathy Martin. Tori, this came from you, or I think we saw this together, that we as therapists are always working on the windowsill. And so we need to know how to help the client slide in and out of the window of tolerance. And once again, I guess I get a little resentful when I think back when I first was trained and everybody was kind of almost shouting at you. You can't let the client dissociate. You can't let the client dissociate. If you do, the client's not going to be able to survive it. And then you're sitting there like, but I don't understand what you mean by dissociate. I mean, I remember thinking that in my very first training. And because we are working on that windowsill, it is a very fine line. We have a lot of responsibility as therapists. And so when Kathy Martin said that, I was just like, yes, that's so true. We're just always on that edge and all the responsibility is on us. So I do a lot on LinkedIn, and I have two charts that I like to use for educating my clients. And this was voted number one. I like to put some of my visuals up there, and I have, I can tell what's the most popular by how many people look at it. I think I had 6,000 people look at this visual. So this was the winner. And so what we've got here visually is we've got what is our window of tolerance, and that this is the window here. And this is the place of comfort. This is where we're emotionally regulated. This gives it very nice language. We're connected, we're cool, we're calm. We have our ability to self-soothe, ability to regulate our emotional states. I'm just reading it right off the visual here. And then working with the client around understanding what it's like to go into a hyper-aroused state, to leave that windowsill, and to go into being amygdala hijacked is a language that I like. Because when you're amygdala hijacked, you cannot use the information in your prefrontal cortex. So it's just kind of nice language. But when that happens, you're feeling anxiety, overwhelmed, it's chaotic. There's could be anything that has to do with an increased heart rate, anger, rage, aggression, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're looking at going into a hypo-aroused state, which is the reduction of heart rate. And this is where our clients go into being disconnected, There is a sense of numbing. It's everything that we saw in the video earlier. The clients can leave their body. They can like think that things are not happening to them. Their environment can become foggy. I think that the interesting part is the androgynous opioids that are released in the system, which is basically heroin. You know, my clients, when they start to learn about the window of tolerance and understand that they go into a dissociative state, that they can say to themselves or say to me and themselves that, you know, they are numb and that it does feel good. So why wouldn't they? And that's important for us to be able to talk about, because they cannot be there if we're going to do the work that we need to do, and they may not have any control over it, which we're going to talk about in a minute with polyvagal. So anyway, our chart here will talk about things that you can do to shift in and out of if you're hyper or hypo aroused. And so once again, this is good language for us to know, and this is good language for our clients to know. But then that takes us to, if we're going to talk about window of tolerance, I honestly feel that then we need to take it to the polyvagal, because the autonomic nervous system works with neuroception, which means that there's no conscious awareness to what our autonomic nervous system is doing. And so if our body is going to be, if we're going to be shifting states and we don't know it, that's going to cause a problem also for us as therapists. But more importantly, we want to empower our clients with the knowledge of not only, you know, when they're leaving their window of tolerance, but then more importantly, this would be my favorite chart, which does not get a lot of views on LinkedIn, because this is what's happening to our autonomic nervous system as opposed to using the language of window of tolerance. And what we see here, this is what we call the trauma traffic light. I'm going to show you what that looks like. And like I said, I'm presenting on this on Wednesday, is that we start down here in our green ventral vagal. And this is going to be just like our window of tolerance, in that it's where we're calm, we're connected, we're in social engagement, we're at a resting heart rate. It's important to understand heart rate when we're studying polyvagal, because that's what Stephen Porges was doing to begin with, was looking at heart rate variability. And so over here on the right, we get really good information around, you know, we're at rest and we're healthy and we're vital, and, you know, we're getting appropriate oxygen. And now that you can get on your Fitbit or your Apple Watch all this information around how much oxygen your blood's getting, which is kind of cool, like with the whole COVID thing, and then knowing what your resting heart rate is. My client, the one who can put herself into a fantasy, she was watching her heart rate, because we were doing the polyvagal psychoeducation, and her resting rate's about 70 to 75. And she ranges, when she's at school, a high of 110 and a low of 45, which is very dissociative. So the heart rate variability is a really important aspect of polyvagal, and just learning how Stephen came across polyvagal to begin with is absolutely fascinating. And I'm not going to go into it today, because I am going to go into it on Wednesday. But anyway, I think I'm getting off topic here. So we've got our green social connection. And then this is our fight flight. This is what we saw just in the prior chart, where we went into hyper arousal. It's an increase in heart rate. It's the brain interpreting danger. It's the amygdala hijack. And this is where we find a lot of these reactions: rage, anger, irritation, frustration. But also what's really important is what's going on with the nervous system, and being able to understand that there's increase in blood pressure and heart rate. There's decreases in fuel storage, whatever. I'm like, anyway, I'm not even going to go there. But the video that we saw in the very beginning, when they talked about being lightheaded, well, being lightheaded is when a client goes into their hyper aroused and then goes immediately into the dorsal vagal, which is a hypo aroused state, where the heart rate drops below resting rate. And so clients can pass out, clients can get dizzy, they can feel lightheaded, and this is dissociation. And this is where our clients end up when the fight flight does not solve the problem. So if you think about the pandemic, we had danger outside our door. It was there, it was there, it was there, it wasn't going away. And then a lot of our clients and even us therapists were really starting to get exhausted and run down, and we had trouble remembering things. And we were basically in a hypo-aroused state because our sympathetic nervous system did not do what it needed to do, which was to take care of what the danger was. Like I said, I'll be talking about that more. Gets me excited. Yep.
Yeah, one of the things that I've seen with some of my clients coming in is when they watch the Oscars and you saw just all that trauma that was happening in the moment, and you saw the freeze response of Chris Rock and then the fight response, obviously. And so many people are taking sides about who did what, but you know, when, as you said, when you see trauma, you see it everywhere, right? And people don't see it. You know, so their responses to that afterwards were just really highlights what you're pointing out here.
Yeah, we saw that with a couple basketball coaches too, just a couple months ago. And the one coach said, you know, don't touch me. You just don't touch me. And for those of us that understand trauma, he was right. And also you can't go, you know, knocking somebody out and when you're going to be in that business. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Robert. It's interesting, isn't it? So I recommend everybody to please watch this video. This is Dr. Stephen Porges' son, Seth. And Dr. Porges and Seth are writing a book together right now. I'm a huge fan of Seth because I think he's funny. Even though when I was doing one of my trainings, you know, we had the trainees, I don't know which coaches were with me, but we had the trainees watching this video when they would end early because we wanted to make sure, you know, they were getting their CEs and they were learning. And I remember going into one of the rooms and they were like, they didn't know I was in there. And that's the funny thing about virtual. And they said, you know, Paula thinks this is funny, but we don't, this is stupid. And I was like, oh man. But anyway, I do think it's funny. I'm just going to play one little section of it, but it's about a 32-minute video. It is Seth Porges doing a really nice job of putting Dr. Stephen Porges's language into something that's comprehensible, because I've tried to understand Dr. Porges and I just, my brain can't go there. But anyway, so if you've seen it, great. But if not, it's good for therapists and it's good for clients. So I'm just going to play this one part because it's my favorite. He's an official comedian and he talks about, this is where the trauma traffic light comes from, is his work. And but this, I'm just going to play let's see, I want to make sure I don't play the inappropriate part. Hold on. Okay, here we go.
So understand what neuroception is. Neuroception is the difference between charming and creepy. You meet people, and there's some people, they've got big smiles, and they talk with so much grace, and you just love them, and they're charming, and there's other people who are just kind of creepy. And think about who those creepy people are. They've got like a flat face, right? And they've got a super monotone, low voice, and they're very scowly. And this is what our neuroception is doing. It's saying, it's scanning these people and it's saying, I want to be next to them. I met this dude in 2004 and he was a state senator and I was shaking at the knees and I had no idea what was happening to me and I just wanted to marry him. And it was weird. And it's because my neuroception was like, what? That guy, I don't care. Sure, have my children. But then you meet people who are...
Okay, anyway, I think he's a hoot. But if you have to learn something, it's not a bad way to go. It's homework that my clients don't hate me for. But anyway, so Deb Dana and Seth Porges do a really wonderful job of translating Stephen Porges's work. Like I said, I'm going to be doing 2 hours of this on Wednesday. And we do what's called the trauma traffic light. And we teach our clients how to assess what state they're in. So think again, we're talking about window of tolerance, but now we've got different language for it. So the ventral vagal, also known as the green zone, is going to be that window of tolerance. It's going to be when our clients are present and able to be in coexistence and able to be co-connected, and their safety. And like I said, there's the heart rate's important. It's a resting heart rate. And so there are all these different, this is like, I'm going to show you this in a minute, but this is like one of my favorite books. It's literally 50 client-centered practices. And all this book does is give you all these fun ways to figure out if you are in the ventral vagal state, which is the social engagement here. Or if you then move into the sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight flight, this is where we have our increase in heart rate. And then the third state is our dorsal vagal. And dorsal vagal is going to be the I'm dissociative, my heart rate is dropped. This is where we're going to start leaving our body. Maybe we're not, they say it's you're alone, you're isolated, your heart rate, your blood pressure is low. So, and this is dissociation. So being able to identify and having the client identify what zone they're in. And so, like I said, I'm going to be presenting on these on Wednesday in detail, because I want people to be able to walk away with how to work with their clients and teach their clients this way to assess if they're in their window of tolerance or not. This is just an example of how to mapping your nervous system, is what Deb Dana calls. And when we look at our clients from a polyvagal perspective, we are doing an autonomic nervous system map for each client. And so what we do is we call this the ladder, and we have the green zone, which is our connection, safe social zone at the top. We have our yellow in the middle, our sympathetic nervous system, our fight flight. And then we have our red at the bottom. So it's the traffic light, but it's upside down. And what we do is we have the client go in and start working on their own map. And so this is just an example of my map that I use for my clients. I have my markers out, we use green, and we talk about times when they feel calm and present and regulated. I'm giving them the psychoeducation, talking about how, you know, their heart rate is at a resting rate. And what does that mean? That they're able to breathe, that there's stability. And then we talk about, there's 2 questions that they want, that they recommend that we ask. And so when you're in this calm, present, regulated state, the world is. And so the client may say a wonderful place. I am feeling good. And then we have them give it a cue word. And then we go into our sympathetic. Once again, we've got yellow, sympathetic. This is going to be an increased heart rate, increased blood pressure. The client is alert and hypervigilant. They are hypoaroused. There's a flood of energy. I'm in danger. Their body's tensing up. It's tight. And sorry, it's the cue word for this one was WTF. And so the world is scary and I want to run and hide. I'm terrified. So that was what came up for our sympathetic. And then going into our red zone, which is when the heart rate drops dramatically below resting rate. And that's where we start to shut down. The androgenous opioids are released and you go into I'm going to die. And there's no language. There's absence of energy. You're numb. And there was, I'm in a crappy place and hopeless, I give up. And the cue word was leave me alone. So so this is fun. There's, it's fun for the clients. I have them, we watch the video, then we have them do a map, and then they're able to come in like the following week and say, okay, I was tracking and I was like in yellow and red all week. I love it when my clients come and tell me that they're in red and that they were in bed a lot. And then, you know, something happened and they were in green. And we just, you know, refer to it as colors. Once again, this is about window of tolerance. It's just now we're looking at it from an autonomic nervous system point of view. And then Deb Dana's done a fantastic job with all of her resources. You know, this if you're looking to learn about this, this is the book to buy. It's an easy read. She does a really good job of being able to put it into language. I hate reading. I got it on audio. I've listened to it a number of times. And then these exercises are fun. This Wednesday, I'm going to do a couple of the exercises. I'm going to have everybody put their name in each zone and then come up with language for what's the green zone, what's the yellow, and what's the red, using the initials, not their initials, but the letters of their name. So there's like fun, different activities that I'll be introducing a couple of them at the presentation. And, you know, I'm not like sitting here talking about this presentation like I need anybody to go. It's free. You get 2 Cs. You know, I'm doing it for the family recovery center. And the thing that I just love about that place and Ryan is that they're about educating the therapist because they honor the work that we do so much. And so polyvagal, dissociation, these are all presentations only to help our, you know, the therapists in our community. Were you gonna say something, Tori?
Yeah, I put up a link to that invite that you had sent the email out. So that's in the chat, but somebody else was also asking if it was going to be recorded.
Yes, it's always recorded and then they put it up on their website and they put it on YouTube. It's really very kind.
I'm also looking for a copy of your window of tolerance handout. I didn't see it up there directly. Do you know? I looked in your resources. I know you can just Google it.
Yeah,
and
the
pull up that image.
the polyvagal one's on my website. I don't put the other one on my website because I don't use it other than in a presentation to show the difference. So, but I can get it. I'll find it. It's in my resources somewhere, but on my website is going to be the polyvagal one.
That's it.
Good. Great. I said I was going to say one brief thing about parts. When we're talking about state shifts, it's really important that we understand, that our clients understand the difference between their parts of self, because once again, knowledge is empowering. We want to empower our clients to know that if they have a controlling part that's judgmental and negative, that part, especially if it's 14 years old, is probably not going to be the most regulated part. And if something triggers that part, it's probably going to be in the yellow zone. And that if you have a part over here that's responsible and makes good choices, that part probably lives in the green zone. So it's helpful. This one here, this adaptive part lives in the red zone. I know this. This is my inner family, we call them. So it's important to know these things. And so I'm not doing anything with parts yet publicly, but knowing your parts is just another important way for the client to be able to name it to tame it, to know half of change is acknowledgement. Like I got to tone that critical part down. In a kind way, I would say that, of course, and that knowledge is power, empowering us with the knowledge around what we know about ourselves. Okay, do we think we should do a quick stretch break? I know I could keep going. What do you think, Tori? And then take some questions if anybody has any.
Yeah, I think a post-coffee potty break is at hand.
Okay, so like, I don't know, what do you think? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? I could care less.
Say like 10 minutes if you can afford that much time.
Yeah, okay, and if anybody wants to stick around and ask questions, they can. We'll meet back at 1:30, and then I'm going to be venturing into we're going to see how this goes. We're going to be doing secure your space. We're going to be doing some demos on how to secure your space. We're going to do Jim Knight's seat posts. We're going to do picture-in-picture. And I know it's not up here, but we're also doing some EMD with Ed DeJean's EMDR 2.0. So it should be lots of fun. So go take a break and then we'll see if I can squeeze all of it in. So Tori, you liking this? Because this is what it's like online.
Yeah, I know. And I am too much online that it's not that I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of looking at my face.
Hi, Felice. Hi, Sarah. Oh my gosh, you guys.
Hey, Tori.
Hi, Eric.
Tori. Hello. Hey, Paula. Tori, then hide your face.
Hi, Linda.
You're doing
Paula,
a great job.
did you see my message?
Oh, thanks, Eric.
No, Linda, I'm sorry. I can never look at the chat while I'm doing this.
No problem. I just sent it to you. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave shortly. I'm wondering, can I get a copy that I won't share with anybody else of the recording?
Yeah, it'll be online.
You will be,
Ryan puts
okay.
it on her website. So just reach out to me in a couple days and, well, actually, what am I saying? This one's Robert's, the one I'm doing on Wednesdays online. Robert, you're gonna have this available, right?
He may have.
I can
may
send
have
it
done
out, or if you want me to send you the link, if you want to post it.
Yeah, you'll send me the link. Yeah, we'll have it. Linda, just reach out.
Great. Thank you. Paula, Robert, you guys are doing great. Do we have a date for the next meeting?
Oh, Robert, we do
No.
not. We should have done that.
I know.
Maybe we can do that right now. And Linda, are you still in my building?
No, Judy and I are going telehealth only.
Okay, all right. I thought so. I saw some rearranging going on. Okay, reach out later.
But I can come over and catch up with you, my dear.
That would
Take
be
care.
awesome.
It most likely will be Linda after the conference, which
Okay.
I don't even have those dates. I'm gonna look at them now, but we can kind of I'll talk to Paul about that.
When is the conference?
That's what I want to find out.
Oh,
Thank you all so, so much.
you're welcome. I don't even know where my, okay. Like, Robert, do we even know what months it is?
Yeah, I'm looking it up now.
Sarah, how are you? How's Hawaii? Is it beautiful?
Yes, it's good. Do you want to?
Let me see.
Want to see? Here, I'll bring a
So
little.
police,
Maui-
Sarah coaches from Hawaii for us. Oh my gosh, look at that.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Isn't that amazing?
That's the outrigger canoes out there that you can see.
See, and I was there. I was there. All right,
In the fish pond. This is here in Maui.
awesome.
Beautiful.
Laura, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
How's
So
it going
I
out there in Colorado?
It's fine. It's warming up. We've got lots of birds at the bird feeders. Lots of
Excellent.
bulbs coming up and it's windy.
Eric, do you know when the conference is? Let's see here. It's April.
I think they moved it back to more of the normal time. That's what I recall just from having seen some messages. But Robert, are you finding anything online? Because I was going to look it up and you said you were going to the website right now.
I can't find it on the website, but I'll keep looking.
Okay.
What about July 25th? Is that too early?
Paula, we usually don't do one over the summer.
Oh, all right. Look at me. Just
Ah,
what? What, you guys have lives?
Isn't by the way, isn't that when we have a virtual training one of those weeks
No,
in July?
no, no. Not on July 25th. I would never recommend it.
Okay, I got the dates.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, what are they?
All right, hang on. I'm gonna post it into the chat here.
And Paula, just to let you know for reference, the training that you're doing, the polyvagal thing is the 20th. So it's not this coming week, it's the following.
Oh my
December
gosh,
15th.
you're right. You're right. Hi, Corey.
I have a question, guys.
What's your question?
My question is there a way that we can find out who has openings?
Oh. Somebody want to organize that on the chat?
I vote Robert used to have that really nice worksheet that he had everybody listed, so you could just reach out.
Well, and what I can do is I can send it out and ask for people to respond to it. So to update it. So I'll send out the one that I had before and see if people still have any changes to it.
That has been so helpful. I know that I have people that are coming for so widespread that it helps to know who's where.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll take that on.
How about October 9th?
So here's the dates, Paul. September 10th, 11th, Saturday and Sunday, September 17th, 18th. So it has to be after that.
Okay, how about October 9th? Does anybody have anything? Does anybody see if I have a training on October 9th?
I mean, the idea is we're going
I
to be,
know you've got October. I just don't know if it's the 9th.
Yeah, no, it's not. Does that work for you, Robert?
let me look. Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, it's the next weekend then.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
probably, I'm probably open. You guys are busier than me, so let me see.
I had to go to the facilities. What are we looking for? October 9th?
It's a Sunday.
Yeah, what are we looking for? though?
To do this, to do our next regional meeting.
Oh, gotcha.
So we can give the date out today.
Yeah,
And-
I mean, it works for me.
Okay.
Paula, I just looked at my schedule. Is it changed? Because I see that the media dates that just were put out were September.
10th, 11th, yeah.
Oh, no. Okay. I read it wrong. Okay. No, that's fine.
They're good? Okay, so
Yeah.
October 9th, 12 to 3. All right.
Yep.
Figure
Is
out
it
what you want.
virtual again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Then it says September 18th and 17th and 18th. What's that?
Right, but we're doing this in October.
Okay. No, I'm just realizing that one of the trainings is the weekend of September 17th.
Yeah, that's a problem. It's a problem it's a problem for us if you want to go to it because trainees don't care because they aren't trained yet.
Got it. I was checking.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't keep up with how that works with the conference.
Okay. No problem.
Okay, so Tori, I guess I gotta make sure I say that. You're right, it's not this Wednesday. I'm all ready to go. I'm actually driving to Pennsylvania. Okay. Corey, are you full?
I am pretty full, yeah.
Who else is from the Chicago? Hi, Richard. How's Minnesota? Is it cold up there still?
Yeah, we still got snow, and there might be some more next week. So we're just going to put spring in between those 4 days, and then we're just going to gear up for. I'm just not going to take the shovel out of my car till July.
There you go. You know how to deal. Oh, goodness.
Paul, I just want to let you know I'm going to have to leave a little bit early, but this has been great. I'm happy I could come on for at least a bit of it.
Okay, it's good to see you. I know I'll be seeing you this summer. So it's helpful.
Okay. Yes. And also more resources I can also send to consultees too. So.
Okay, good. All right, hon, thanks for coming. Okay, I'm gonna start up when people start jumping on. Carol Moss, do you have any openings? How do you want to do that, Tori? You just want to put it out in chat?
Paula, no, I do not at all.
At all.
Maybe in about 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just heard from one of my own clients that they heard it was a year out, and I'm like, really? Am I that far?
Yeah, it's a high class problem, but I do feel bad because there's so many people who want help.
Yeah, if anybody, Tanya, you're full too, right? I think that they just told me that you're full. If anybody has openings and is in the Chicagoland area, Harry, maybe you, will you put
Yeah, if you want to
your
put it in the chat, I'll write it down.
Put it in the chat. That's a great idea.
Thank you.
Okay. Is the PowerPoint still up, you guys?
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, David.
Sarah, maybe Sarah has openings. Sarah Gunderson.
I'm here.
Yes.
I think I just heard you say, do I have any openings?
Yes.
I think I do.
Will you show us your face, please? Where are you?
Yeah, here I am. I'm not, my face isn't on, but I can show it to you. Here I am. Yes.
Okay, there she
Hi.
is. There's Sarah. Sarah, you're up in Lake
Lake
Forest?
Forest. I work with at Ryan's practice in Lake Bluff.
Right. Oh yeah, you're gonna tell her that I'm totally tooting her horn today.
Yes,
So
I will.
Paula,
Sarah's-
later this month, I should have a few openings, but it's telehealth only.
okay, all right, good. So let's start making that list a little bit. If anybody else has any openings, that would be great.
Yeah, make sure you put in there where you are so I can list that.
Right.
And if
Good.
you are only doing telehealth, like Kate, let me know.
Mhm. And Linda. That's what
Paula, I
Linda
don't know
said.
if it helps at all, but I'm gonna be putting a page up on my website if people sign up that I'm just gonna email them whenever I have an opening so that they can be alerted if they can't find anyone.
Oh, okay, that's good. All right. Okay. How about you, Brian? Do you have any openings? Oh, you're muted though. You're muted.
I don't have any openings for anything regular. You know, I've told people if they want to come in to get the process started, I might be able to get them in 3 or 4 weeks or something, but it's pretty tight.
Okay. Yep, it is. It's tight. Okay. So Tori's collecting names of anybody who might have openings in the Chicagoland area. If you could just put out your a little bit of your information. And I'm gonna continue. If everybody's okay with that. I did get a little carried away. The presentation for polyvagal is not this Wednesday. It is a week from Wednesday. I'm actually going to be out of town this week. Okay. Okay. So let's see how this goes. This is going to be new for us. So we're going to start with, we're still in our phase 2. Now, in Francine's book, we talk about container. It's safe place that's been changed to other names because we don't want to use safe because it might be triggering. It all depends on who you talk to. We use it in our training. We call it peaceful place or calm place. But more importantly, since the pandemic, we have also added secure your space. With the online venue, we wanted our clients, we want to teach our trainees that how to work with their clients in securing the space that they're in and giving us a measurable to know how secure their space is. So here, instead of me just talking about it, let me just go to the slide. So securing your space helps you and your client recognize their degree of security, regardless of their location or their environment. So when I think back of the pandemic and I had my, one guy, I had two in their car. I had one that decorated their closet, a lot of bedrooms, some basements, family rooms, and then of course our office. And the idea is securing the space is having the client literally identify what in their space contributes to their security. So it can be on your body, it can be, something on your person that, you're always wearing. It can be tattoos. It can be, any kind of jewelry, clothes, hoodies. I work with a lot of adolescents. Anything in the space here, if I were to do my therapy in this space, pictures, candles, whatever it is that makes the client feel secure. And then we're teaching them how to not only do it for us, because then we're going to ask them to measure it for us. And we're going to do this at the beginning of every single session, but we're also teaching them how to secure their space. If like I was working with some young ladies that were in sex trafficking recovery, and they had to go and testify against their traffickers. And so working with them on how to secure their space in the courtroom. So this has been very helpful. So we're going to use the secure your space, and it comes from Jim Knight. And basically it's the present orientation that he refers to and that he utilizes in his tools that he calls it CPOS, but CPOS, however you want to pronounce it, which is a tool that's very handy for all clients if they dissociate or if they don't dissociate. So what does this look like? So I'm going to give you an example here. And then this example is with one of my adolescents. And my client is in their home. I've still got a couple adolescents that are online because they're in like a college environment in the city and they can't make it up or whatever it is. But so I'm going to ask my client, what about your space makes you feel secure at this moment? And so this particular client, looks around the room and she says, my bearded dragon, Lucy, and my turtle named Soup. And so I'm the therapist and I'm like, okay, describe it in detail for me. Use your senses. And so she's like, closes her eyes and she's like, I can hear my turtle tank filter humming in the background. I can hear Soup swimming around. I like to take Lucy out of her cage and let her sit on my chest. Petting her feels really cool because she's like so spiny and spiky. And she's so calm and she just sits there looking around. And then I ask, and how secure do you feel right now? 0, not at all. Actually, is it a 1 to 5? 1, not at all, and 5 being very secure. And she says that she's a 5. Now, a lot of times we'll take some of these pets out of their cages. I've got another adolescent that got a boa constrictor over the pandemic and he has that thing on him. A lot of times when we're doing therapy, I've got a lot of other clients that all have cats and dogs and all kinds of really excellent ways to ground and to keep your client present that are not necessarily in our own space. When working with the clients in person, it's really interesting to talk about what security looks like, because I did not know that, and Linda, if she's still on, and Carol, for that matter, the people that are in my building, there's it's not a bullet hole, but like BB bullet holes in our big gigantic glass when you walk into the building. And I did not know that. And one of my clients said that that made them very uncomfortable. And then I have clients that talk about like the closet that's behind my couch and how they're just not okay with it. And I actually rearranged my furniture so that the closet wasn't behind the couch. And my favorite is when my client said she was very disturbed by the clock that was facing her. And so when she came for her appointment, I just put the clock down and she almost cried because she couldn't believe that I not only listened to her, but that I actually did something and changed the environment to make her more comfortable. So the securing your space has been nothing but a gift. And like I said, it came from Jim Knipe and we started using it and teaching it in the trainings right away as a way to work with our clients that are virtual. And like I said, also in person. And then another way to work with present orientation, and we're going to work with both today, is inner peaceful place. And so this is out of Francine's book. This is just an abbreviated version, but we're looking at, picking a spot, a place, if it's real or imagined, finding those emotions and sensations, seeing if you can get a felt sense, using your senses to strengthen it and to embody it. And then I didn't have this in Secure Your Space, and I don't know why. Maybe I did and I didn't read it. But with all of these, if we can get the client in the positive space, we're going to strengthen it with the slow, short sets of bilateral, which we take out of Laurel Purnell's Tapping In book. And so we would have done that with Lucy and Soup as well. So in this particular picture, the client's calm place is a hike. It's green, it's lush, it's quiet, hearing the birds, the wind, feeling the breeze, smelling the forest, drinking the water, feeling good exercising. We have all of these positive, all this positive language. We would pull out a feelings chart and put positive language to it if the client resonated with any of it. And then once again, we're going to go in and we're going to strengthen and enhance those positive neural networks with slow, short sets of bilateral, assuming that the client is able to do this. If the client is not able to, and I have plenty of clients that are highly dissociative that would never be able to come up with a peaceful place or a calm place, we do things that we ground with. I just want to grab this one thing that's kind of cool. We've got, I'm sure all of us as therapists have an office full of things that they can ground. This is a purple. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of it, but it's made by a bunch of psychologists, I guess. It purrs, but it has a heart rate. And so my most dissociative client, his name is Mark. And so his heart rate right now is going very fast. And I have to calm his heart rate down by literally, he's against my heart, and his heart rate starts to slow down. And then he starts to purr and he makes cute little noises. And then when I want him to go to bed, I just place him right here. He's my kind of pet. So, and every like 10 or 15 minutes, he'll make a little noise like, hey, I'm over here. But at the end of the day, if I don't feel like taking care of him, I don't have to. So the point is that we need to find what works for our client and what helps ground them. And that's just an example of something new that's on the market for $50 on Amazon. So we're going to move into now the processing phases. And, we're going to be very careful in that we're not doing a phase 3 for the most part. We will probably do a phase 3 for one of the tools if we get to all of them today. But we're looking to go right into our interventions. And so the first intervention that we're going to look at is called Picture in Picture. And it's Joanne Twobley. And she's taught it in a number of different venues. A long time ago, she did at the conference. And then it's in her private trainings now that you pay for. And I think there's an journal article as well. I don't think it's in a book. It might be in Luber's book. I'm not completely sure. But anyway, with Picture in Picture, we do, we've got fractionation, we have titration, we have pendulation, and we have education of a target memory. And the metaphor is, and if you remember in our conference room, we had a screen, a movie screen, is that we're using a very large TV screen. And we're going to anchor that screen with either our peaceful place or we could do our secure space. It's really up to the client. But the point is that a peaceful place really works well for this particular one. And so you have the imagery, the client bringing up the imagery. We're going to have the imagery written down because we have just strengthened and installed it with, I don't like using the word installed, strengthened and enhanced it with the language that our clients gave us. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a disturbance. Now, it's important that it's a snapshot of that disturbance because we want just a fractionated piece of it. And we're going to take that disturbance and we're going to put it in a small picture, just like a picture in picture. And then the client is able to put the picture wherever they want. They're able to make it as small as they want. They're able to make it the place at the location that they put it in is up to them. So let's see here. The example here is this is the hike that we were just looking at. And then the client is using a visual that they saw from they saw online for 9/11, and it was like a disturbing flashback for them. And so the idea is to ground the client in the large screen where they then have them so that they can report back that they are feeling, Mark, quiet. So they can report back that they are grounded in their secure space, okay, present orientation. And then we move them into the small picture. And like I said, the small picture, you can put it wherever you want. They could put it behind the trees. They can maybe put it on the path if they're feeling a little bit more comfortable with it. And they have the remote control. And what we're working with here, the action mechanism that we're working with is the short-term memory. And I find this fascinating. That's why I love doing these presentations, because I always learn something. But Jim Knight talks about how the short-term memory is able to hold a visual for 3 seconds for sure, potentially up to 10 seconds, maybe as long as 15 seconds. And so in order to provide dual attention, and Brian, I hope this helps a little bit with your question. In order to provide dual attention, what we're going to do is we are going to ground the client in their large screen. And so we're wanting that to imprint the short-term memory. And then we're going to only have the client toggle, okay, pendulate into the small screen for 3 seconds. And then we're bringing them back into the big screen. And one of the things that we can do that we've learned from working memory theory and EMDR 2.0 is when the client is toggling into the small picture, they can literally count, or we can count, because now that we know if we can distract, that we're also going to be desensitizing. And if that's something that doesn't make sense to you, don't worry about it. So so we do that, and we're going to toggle them in for 3 seconds. Then we're going to bring them back and ask them, you know, get them grounded in their big picture again, and ask them what they're noticing and what the experience was like for them. Always asking permission. How about, you know, would you be okay if we did it again? And we did it this time for 6 seconds. And then we bring them back, check in once again, getting permission, asking how it's going. If it starts to not go well, that's fine. We can just close it up and conversate about what the experience has been like. But what we're counting on is, like I said, that short-term memory to be able to hone on and hold that long-term or that large screen picture for at least 3 seconds. And at any point in time, the client with the remote control is able to turn it off or remove it. And so half of change is acknowledgement here. So even if we're not successful in maybe getting to longer amounts of time, we're introducing this to the client, and they can start getting an idea of what the goals are and then put language to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a demo of this. Now, before I move into a demo, does anybody have any questions? And you guys, I have no idea how these demos are going to go. So any questions?
Did have one question a little farther back when I was trying to put something into the chat about using the clinician as the thing that makes the client feel comfortable in their space.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, when I do my trainings and we're in those, not horritory, because you do such a fantastic job, but those horrid brown hotels. And we want all of our trainees to practice grounding themselves. You know, they're looking around and it's just the same wall and the same light. And it's, you know, the trainer's voice, or it's the coaches that they've gotten to know, or it's the people at the training that they've gotten to know. That's what's making them feel secure in that moment. So yes, absolutely. Okay. So are we ready to venture into our first demo? And so Tori, you're gonna, what's it called? Is it pinning, flashlighting? Ooh, Eric, you there to walk Tori through this? Erica's gonna be my first victim, my first demo.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Pin the video, and do you want to hide the your screen, Paula? Turn off the.
Yeah, because all I see is you and her next to each other.
Yeah, and I want to be able to see Erica. So if everybody can see Erica and myself, that would be helpful. And then do I have to turn off my slideshow, or can I leave it?
It'd be kind of nice if you did. It'll allow the screen to get larger.
Okay, all right. I hope this isn't. Okay, it's good to have Eric here. He's Heather, also Jessica. They're all good tech people now. Okay, so Eric, can she do the flashlight thing? Because I see everybody. Or is that because I'm not?
Well, Robert, I think, has to do that. I don't have the controls.
Oh, okay.
And you can pin Erica.
I'm just going to pin Erica. Okay.
What do you need me to do? Anything?
I don't know. I'm just trying to get Erica up, and there she is. Hi. But I need to see my PowerPoint. See, this is new. This is new. Okay, I'll go off the top of my head. All right. So Erica, hi.
Hi.
Okay, so we're going to do picture in picture. And so Eric and I did have a brief exchange where I told her that I would like for her to come up with a place, real or imagined, that is her secure space. She's going to give us language for that. And then also a visual, a snapshot of a worst moment that we're going to use as our small picture. And then, so Erica, what would you describe for your large screen?
Sure. It's this beautiful hike called Gem Lake. It's in Estes Park, Colorado. Pretty popular, and it's just vista after vista of the beautiful mountains. There's big evergreen trees and all the leaves, and the wind is blowing through the trees. For me, it's not real hot. It's not real cold. The sun is out, but again, not too hot or overwhelming. That's my big picture.
Excellent. What kind of colors are you seeing?
Lots of green and brown. Also, that sort of reddish rock color that you see out in the Rockies. Little bits of white here and there for the, oh, what are those trees called? They look like birch trees, but they're not birch.
Oh,
aspens. Yeah, the aspens. And actually, and those have these leaves that flutter, and in the summertime, which is when I would be there, they almost shimmer. They're like these little round discs that just shimmer. It's almost sequin-like.
Excellent. And then what do you hear when you just kind of close your eyes and think about the shimmering and the greens and the browns and the reddish rocks, the vistas?
Yeah, I hear the wind blowing lightly and the rustle of all those leaves, maybe a chirp or two of some birds around, or even there's lots of chipmunks scurrying here and there.
Great. Okay, great. And then any smells?
Scott, it's distinct, just fresh alpine outdoor smell. You know it if you've been there.
Yep. Okay, that's fantastic. All right. And then what are you feeling against your wind? You talked about, or against your face or your skin, the wind blowing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to strengthen and enhance this imagery that you've just given me. So I'd like for you, and it's totally up to you if you'd like to keep your eyes open and just find a space where you're comfortable looking at, or close them. But I'd like to take you to this place that you're talking about in Gem Lake. And I'd like for you to put yourself at Gem Lake. We're at Estes Park in Colorado, your favorite place to go. You like to go in the summer. And you're talking about how you were seeing vista after vista, seeing the evergreen trees, seeing the aspens. The colors are greens and browns, the reddish rocks, hearing the shimmering and the wind blowing and the rustle, chipmunks and birds in the background, smelling that distinct outdoor smell. And what are you noticing right now?
I just feel sort of a lightness in my body, and like a nice sort of cool temperature.
Okay, good. All right. And then I'd like for you to tap that or walk that through. So what would be comfortable for you? Would you like to do the large butterfly? Would that work for you? Okay, so just go ahead, and I want you to tap really slowly, like rocking a baby. Once again, I'm just going to bring up some of the language that you gave me. It's Gem Lake, greens, browns, wind blowing, birds, chipmunks, feeling the wind. And then just take a breath in and exhale out. And what are you noticing right now?
Sense of calm, kind of grounded.
Okay, great. And how do you want to refer to this space?
We can call it Gem Lake.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's what we're going to have up on our large screen. And so what I'd like for you to do now is just tell me about something that is bothering you, something that disturbed you, either, something recently.
So I gave all my tax returns to, I'm trying a new accountant out this year, and I gave them all my information to maybe even 3 months ago. And I was following up because we're getting close to the deadline, and they did get back to me and said, well, we still need this or that information, and it's all stuff that I've already given them. So I have that irritation, you know, and that anxiety. We're getting closer to, you know, the deadline here.
And if you were to find the worst part, what would be the worst part?
It was the moment that I realized how close I am to tax day. So I would think of, like, I think I looked up on my phone, I got the calendar app up and sort of just looking at that calendar app and going, oh God.
Okay. And so if we were to pick a snapshot of the worst moment, what would that snapshot be?
I think it would be the screen of my phone with that calendar.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So what I'd like for you to do is I would like for you to envision your large screen. And then I would like for you to pick a place. You've got a remote control in your hand, and you're in charge of putting a small screen anywhere you would like on the big screen with that snapshot that we just discussed.
Okay.
So where did you put it?
I put it in the bottom left-hand corner. Okay,
great. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to toggle you from your large screen to that visual. I'm going to leave us there just for a couple seconds. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
And then I'm going to bring you back, and then we're just going to process what that experience was like for you.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so I want you to go to Gem Lake, and I want you to be in Estes Park, seeing the vistas and the evergreen trees and the reddish rocks, the aspens that are shimmering, the wind blowing, the birds and the chipmunks in the background. And do you feel grounded in that space right now? Can you see it on that screen? Okay, all right. I want you to be with it, and I want you to honor it. And now I want you to just toggle over to that small left-hand corner where you've got the screen, where you've got that snapshot of the worst moment. And just there, 1, 2, 3. And now shifting back to our larger screen, hearing the leaves, feeling the breeze, smelling that fresh air, seeing the greens, the browns, the sun's out in Gem Lake. And then just take a breath in and exhale out. And what was that experience like for you?
It was good. I definitely noticed when I toggled to the smaller one, just a feeling of irritation. And I kind of felt it in the pit of my stomach, just that kind of sense.
Okay.
And then when I went back, it seemed to dissipate some.
Okay, so were you able to state shift from
Yes.
being in the large screen to the small screen to the large screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So what are your thoughts if we do it for, let's say, 6 seconds this time?
Okay, sure.
Okay, and this time when we go to the small screen, this time I would like for you to count with me, and I'd just like for you to count from 6 down to 1. We're going to go for 6 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'll just direct you. So you're in your large screen, Gem Lake, Estes Park, seeing the vistas, the evergreen trees, the green, the brown, the red. And now I want you to shift over to the left-hand corner, going to your snapshot. And start counting when you're ready. 6, 5, 4,
3,
3,
2,
2, 1. And now toggle back to your Gem Lake. Once again, feeling the wind, the sun on your face, the greens, the browns, seeing the vistas, chipmunks, birds, the rustle of the leaves, the smells, the wind blowing, feeling grounded and calm. And what's coming up for you now?
Just how lovely it is. When I was counting, I completely lost sort of focus of what the irritant was. It was hard to grab it.
And so when you think about that snapshot, would you say compared to when we started, is it better, worse, or the same?
I think it's a little bit better.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on us moving moving to 8 to 10 seconds?
Okay, Sure.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, so grounding yourself at Gem Lake, Estes Park, seeing the vistas, the evergreens, the aspens shimmering, the breeze on your face. And now moving into the left-hand side, honoring, noticing that snapshot, and counting backwards from 8 to 0 when you're ready. 8, 7, 6, 5,
4, 3, 2,
2.
1.
Breath in. Exhale out. Now move yourself back to the large screen. We're back at Gem Lake, Estes Park. Hearing the breeze, feeling the breeze, seeing the sun and the colors. And what are you noticing now?
Time when I started counting backwards, it's like the picture just became really, really flat. Like it's just a picture. I didn't feel any of the irritant or grr anymore.
Okay, all right. We're going to do this one more time if you're okay. We're just going to go for 10 seconds.
Okay.
And this time when you're counting backwards, I'm going to count also, but I might count a different direction. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's both of us go to Estes Park because I happen to love
right.
that place too. And I want you to be in Gem Lake and we're looking at the vistas and the evergreen trees, seeing those colors of greens, browns, reddish, brown rock, the whistling of the wind, the rustle, the birds, the chipmunks, the smells. And now I want you to toggle over, pendulate to that snapshot. It's over in the left-hand corner. And then when you're ready, if you count backwards from 10.
9,
2,
8,
3,
7,
5, 6, 7,
5,
8,
4,
10,
3,
9,
2,
7,
1.
6. And now toggle back to our Gem Lake, Estes Park, seeing the vistas, feeling the breeze, smelling that fresh air. And then just take a breath in for me and exhale out. Okay, and what are you noticing now?
Yeah, that confused my brain all kinds of ways. So it's hardly even there.
Okay, so is it hard to come up with that snapshot?
Yeah.
Pull it up?
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, and if I was more on the ball here, I would have asked you a suds before and afterwards, but we're just gonna have to go with whatever you're gonna share with us.
Well, I can tell you that because I thought about it before we started, and my sub was maybe a 4. And I can easily say it was 0 after we did the 8 count back.
Okay.
That was, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, let's just do a final grounding. If you could look around the room and find 3 things that are rectangles and tell me what it is that you see.
Sure. I've got picture frame, I've got my lampshade, and I've got my phone.
Excellent. 3 things that are blue.
Shirt, pen, and my flower pot.
Excellent. And then let's just shake out 3 parts of our body, starting with the wrists, rolling the shoulders, stretching out the neck, taking a breath in, and big long exhale out. Okay, Erica, thank you so much.
Thank you. I feel less irritated. Woo.
So I just want to throw out there that yes, I did do EMDR 2.0. I rarely don't do it anymore because using that working memory is and just a really powerful action mechanism that always seems to work. If you're not familiar with EMDR 2.0, that's okay. It's just basically, what did Deanie say the other day? She says, good is fine, but more is better. And we're talking about like, if we're any type of distraction. So we know that numbers definitely lower our distress faster than other like audio or other distractions. And so I always like to use numbers counting backwards from 10. We just call it the 10 count. In this particular example, I just did 3. I think we did 3, 6, and 10, working with the picture-in-picture and the short-term memory as a action mechanism as well. So, so thank you, Erica. And then any questions?
Not seeing anything coming up. There was
Okay,
a
that's-
question earlier from Valerie about adding, whether or not you're adding BLS, but I wasn't sure which one.
Yeah, no BLS. No, we're not doing any BLS here because we're working with dissociation. Now, that is a good question. If the client can hold the visual for more than 15 seconds and is willing to continue, you would then move into probably an EMD where you could do bilateral. But for right now, all we're doing is working memory. And if that language is confusing to you, I get it. I wish I had had a slide that describes the different bilateral, but maybe we can do that at the next one.
Okay, got a question from Christina. Why did you count opposite of the client during the 10 seconds in the small snapshot?
Good question. So she's counting down, and then I wanted to tax her even more, as Ed DeJean says, desensitized with distraction. So I counted up to distract her even more. And if she didn't do well with the counting by herself, I would not have done that.
Okay. Then from Lisa, the question that comes up quite often, what about clients that say they can't visualize?
Yeah, that's good. You're not going to be doing this with them. That's all I can say for right now. I mean, picture in picture would not work for them, at least given this what we're doing today.
Hey, Paula.
Yes.
One of the things I do with the 4 blinks is that sometimes if they have a picture of Estes Park, I'll have them on the screen, and that might help the people that can't visualize.
Have them, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Robert. Have them what?
Just bring up a picture of Estes Park or the place that
Right.
that could help them a bit for those non-visualized folks.
Yeah, I do that too. Lisa did say as a follow-up, can you use a piece of paper instead, put the picture on it?
Yeah, that sounds great. I can't speak to it because I've never done it, but yes, that would make sense. Okay. All right, should we move on?
Yep.
Okay. So Erica, thank you. If you need anything, reach out.
You are very welcome. Yep, it's all good.
Okay. So everybody, can you see the PowerPoint?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. So the next one that we're going to look at is loving eyes. This is Jim Knight. This is a great inner child intervention. I have to be honest, I use it more so with bilateral, but it's very powerful also without using the bilateral. Also, it gives you an idea. Once again, we're always collecting data to understand our client's clinical landscape. So sometimes the information that we are able to derive doing loving eyes is more important than actually doing the loving eyes, because it may not work, which means that we've got other work before the work that we need to do. So let's just venture into what this is. So we use loving eyes to help the adult part overcome like a phobia or an avoidance of a child part. How are you going to do this? We want to create a visual image of the child that's stuck in trauma time in order to like soften the avoidance or conflict. And I know I'm just reading off the slide here, but this is Jim Knight's words. And so I just want to make sure that I'm honoring him. Are you able, you're going to be asking questions to the adult client. And are you able to just look at that child? And then just look at that child and notice that child. And then thinking about questions and observations where we want to elicit curiosity, caring, understanding, awareness. You know, when we do a parts interview, I'm going to bring a little bit of internal family systems in here. We are always honoring like the 8 C's of self, higher self. So it's curiosity, courage, confidence, calmness, connection, clarity, creativity. I think I got 7. I always miss one. And so we want the adult part that's present, that's the present orientation, to be able to utilize these aspects while interacting with the child part that they're able to envision. So once again, if the question comes up about, you know, if you can't visualize, then I can't comment on that, but because you do need to be able to visualize here. So an example is the clients, let's say we're doing some, well, because we're working with dissociation, we wouldn't be doing our standard protocol here. But if the client says, with whatever you're talking about, I feel so sad. And, you know, I'm thinking specifically of a client that's just now being able to engage in her body. She's just now, she had no memories of 12 and under, and then the pandemic hit, and she then started to get memories, and the memories are, the more they come, the more horrific they are. And so now she's just recently able to start to feel sadness. So the question is, you know, how old is that sad part, or how far back does it go? Now, when dealing with a very complex clients, there's going to be a lot of sad parts, but we're looking at, you know, clients that dissociate, but are not necessarily like DID or DDNOS. And so how old is that sad part of self? And the client's able to say 6 years old. And then can you see that 6-year-old? And the client can or can't. And if they can, you keep going. And if so, what does that 6-year-old part of self need? And the client will know what that 6-year-old part needs, because it's the client. That client says to be loved unconditionally and kept safe. And then the therapist wants to direct the client. Can that adult nurturing part of self, present time, go to that child part in trauma time and give that client what they need? And so, and now I want you to envision it. And then when you're done, you can close your eyes, and then I want you to envision it. And when you're done, I would like for you to share with me what that was like. And so, like I said, a lot of different things that can come out of this. First of all, a lot of times with certain clients that I have, it will go well. They will say that that went well, that the child was able to receive what it is that the adult part was offering, that the adult felt good about caring for the child part. I've had, you know, like 21-year-olds rocking babies of themselves because they were either adopted or their mother was not emotionally available. And then we also, I've had another adolescent client who came from an orphanage, and she had absolutely no idea as an adult how to nurture a baby. So, so what we run into is either it goes successfully, or the child part isn't able to receive what the adult needs to give, or the child part doesn't believe they deserve what it is that the adult part is offering, or the adult part doesn't like the child part, or the adult part doesn't know how to take care of the child part. And all of this is really good data for you, because, you know, when we're doing parts work and we're trying to figure out, you know, what it is that our goals are, our treatment goals are, this is going to be important work for us, because we're going to know, like with my one client, I needed to spend time with her learning how to nurture. And we started with her dog because she did not know how to nurture a young baby. And then with the client who didn't like the young child, we had to do some unblending, which is a IFS term. So we're not going to go into all of that, but it's just the Loving Eyes is an excellent place to not only collect data on where your clients are at with their parts of self, but also to do some nice, what's the word I'm looking for? Some nice healing. I use, I have 2 interventions I use all the time, and this is one of them. So I'm a huge fan. So we're going to have Tori come up, and she is going to be our demo for Loving Eyes. And wait, let me just glance at this real quick, because I don't have the, I put that language in there for present day higher self, Tori. Okay, all right, I'll turn this off. Okay.
My unethical BS.
Okay, so I want to pin you. There you are. Hi, Tori. Okay, so Tori, we talked about a secure space for you. If you could share with everybody, yes.
It's my
Go.
nice soft little whoopee.
Soft whoopee.
My
Yes.
whoopee.
Great. And is there anything else in your immediate space that's secure?
I love this little couch. Used to be the couch I had in my other office before I moved. So it's nice and broken in and comfy. And the sound of the water tank next to me down here.
Good. Okay, great. So when we strengthen and enhance the secure space, would you like to tap or would you like to maybe do it with your feet so that you can hold your whoopee?
I'll do it with my hands. I can barely reach around. I'm so short.
Okay, great. Okay, all right. So I want you to just think about the whoopee. I want you to feel the whoopee. You just took it and rubbed it on your face. That's right. There you go. That's perfect. And I just want you to also think about your couch that you're sitting on and the water tank that's in the background. And I just want you to honor the security and just go ahead and tap that in with really slow, short sets of bilateral. Go ahead and start when you're ready. And now take a breath in and exhale out. And what are you noticing?
Sinking into the couch, a comfortable, relaxed, shoulders letting down.
Okay, and shoulders down. That's great. Would you like to do it one more time?
Sure.
Okay, all right, just one more time. Just sitting in that couch, sinking into that couch, feeling your shoulders relaxing, having the water tank in the background and just having that really soft, comfy whoopee. And just go ahead and start tapping that in with your slow, short sets of bilateral. Beautiful. Okay, and a breath in and exhale out. Okay, and how was that?
Very good.
Excellent. Okay, so you have an adult part. I actually know this adult part. I had made some notes myself. You have an adult part that's very productive and successful. You're also a mother. You are a great friend. You bake a lot of cookies and then you bring them to us at our training. Is there anything you want to add to that as far as your adult part that we're going to use as our present orientation today?
I don't know, maybe it's pertinent. Like I have this like mama bear defender, not just of my kids, but of anybody, particularly those that are close to me, but.
Yeah. Okay. So you're loyal and you're a protector.
I'm a tourist.
Yeah, so am I. No surprise there. Okay, wonderful. All right. So that's going to be our adult part. That's going to be the part that we're going to access for our present orientation. And now you had a situation where you were disturbed. Without going into too much detail, can you just maybe give me 1 or 2 sentences and then the emotion that comes up for you?
So I'm on the board, or was on the board, for a domestic violence agency that I saw some unethical things going on, and I was livid. I was angry. I mean, livid is
yeah, let's use the word angry because I think that'll be easier to go back into our younger self with that word. So when you think about angry, when you think about anger, how far back does that go for you? Like how young are you when you think about that?
The thing that I can go back to in earliest experience is about age 9.
Okay, all right. And can you see yourself at 9 years old?
Yep.
Yeah. What do you look like?
I think my hair is short by that point. So the short curly hair, and I didn't have my braces yet, so I had a huge overbite.
Okay, good. And so what does that 9-year-old need?
curiously enough, where I said I have that defender part, that's what I needed. I needed somebody who believed in me and defended me and protected me.
Okay. Who believed in me, defended me, and protected me. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay. So what I would like for you to do, I would like you, as you're holding your whoopee and just being grounded in your couch, I'd like for you, the adult part of you, the friend, the mother, the protector, the loyal, the tourist. I'd like for that adult part to go to that 9-year-old. And I'd like for you, you can either leave your eyes open or close your eyes. And I'd like for you to give that 9-year-old and tell that 9-year-old everything that she needs to hear, that you believe in her, that you are there to defend her, that you are there to protect her. I want you to hold her and take as long as you want to just let her know that you are there for her and will be taking care of her from here on out. So just go ahead and start that. And when you're done, just go ahead and open your eyes.
Okay.
Okay, take a breath in and exhale out. And what was that experience like?
That one was like very sassy. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, you have to know it wasn't you. They didn't know what they were doing. And look at how we've turned out and look at how we parent.
Okay. And was that younger part able to hear you?
Yeah, it was like a lean in. It was like because I'm sitting here with my hands kind of still crossed. It was kind of like holding, leaning in.
Okay. And so she was able to hear you and believe you and know that, do you think that she has this sense of like you've got her back now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. And then what was that like for you as an adult to be able to go to that 9-year-old and to acknowledge that she didn't get her needs met when she was 9? And that we know through, with the work that we do, that our channels of association, that 20/80 rule, that 20% of what you're experiencing with the meetings and what was going on was literally about today, but that 80% of it, a lot, or I shouldn't put numbers on it, but in my world, 80% is coming from that 9-year-old and how she felt not protected.
Yeah, it's like it's that acknowledgement of feeling like I wasn't in both situations, was not validated in what I was seeing and what I was reporting, and that feeling of to hell with them.
Excellent. Okay, that's great. So I just want you to add to our secure space where you've got your whoopee and your couch and the water tank in the background. And I just want you to envision your 9-year-old with you. If you're holding her, if she's sitting next to you, whatever that looks like. And then when you're in that space, I just want you to go in and we're just going to do 6 more short, slow taps. When you've got your 9-year-old taken care of. Excellent. And then just a breath in, exhale out. And what are you noticing now?
Comfort. It's like she's sitting here, like I would do with my own kids when they're upset, like just having them sit really close, tucked in, arm around them, sitting right here, touching, the whole side of each other, touching, so you can just be close.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework, like I always do. And so I'd like for you between now and the next time I see you, if you could just, when you're feeling maybe even a twinge of anger, if you could just check in with that 9-year-old and just let her know that you're there and that you're in charge and you've got her back. And so that we can maybe start identifying where those past present connections are, because it is what feeds into how we feel as adults today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So that's Loving Eyes. Do we have any questions?
Yep, let me open this up. Sorry,
Yeah, you got many tasks.
Okay. So with these situations where the adult self doesn't know how to use a memory of the resource team or nurturer to give the child what it needs until the adult can develop a nurturing part.
Yep, that's what we've got to do. You're starting from scratch. That's the work before the work. Yep. And that's data. It's data for us. We cannot integrate our inner families until all of the parts can do what they need to do. And if it was never mentored for them, then that's just, you know, it gives us good information.
You find you had Tori imagine that conversation between her adult self, kind of hear it. Would you tend toward that versus doing it out loud?
You know, Brian, I would do it out loud with a client that would be more dissociative. Yeah, so that they wouldn't get lost in the memories. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, in fact, Tori, you and I had talked about doing it out loud. I just forgot to ask you.
What was the question you asked Tori about when the anger started?
So it was a very basic question. It's just something that was upsetting this last couple of days. So we're starting with a present day. You know, sometimes they call it unremarkable, sometimes not, but just a present day trigger, because we're going to be looking to find the child, and that would be probably the past present connection, that channel of association that's feeding into how she felt today. And that's what we were able to see beautifully with this example, is that she felt that there was a sense of injustice with this situation with the board. And then that's what she didn't get when she was a kid. Yeah, so it's a very basic question. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just what's bothering you? Something that, you know, happened in the last couple of days.
I don't see anything coming up.
Okay, good. All right, so let's see how we're doing here. Okay, so now we're going to move into Jim Knight C-Post. This is very similar to picture-in-picture, so I don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this. Constant installation of present orientation and safety. It's a mouthful. I don't know why it's pronounced C-Pause, but I say C-Post, so I hope I'm not offending him or anybody else for that matter. So we're going to look at securing in the moment, just like we've been doing, where we are going to secure our space. What Jim Knight recommends is doing the secure your space and not the visual imagery. A lot of people are going to struggle with the visual imagery. And securing your space, that's where secure your space came from when we incorporated it into our training when the pandemic started. So once again, you're going to secure that present moment, and then you're going to use, you're going to pendulate slowly. You're going to pendulate the client to the visual of whatever it is that is distressing. So different than picture-in-picture, because picture-in-picture, you have the large screen, you have the picture-in-picture, you have a remote control. It gives you a lot of control over the negative. But here, this is just basically pendulating from one to the other. And this, once again, we're really honoring that short-term memory. Jim Knight talks about how the short-term memory, three seconds, you have a high retention, 5 to 10 seconds, a moderate retention, and then 10 to 20 seconds, that's a mild retention. And what that is that's the retention of that visual in that short-term memory. So, or the experience in that short-term memory. So if you can get your client grounded in something, if you can get them into securing their space, and this is, I would recommend this over visual imagery, because if the client can't secure their space, you can't do anything with them anyway. You absolutely cannot do any type of trauma work with a client that is not secure in the space that they're in, if it's online or in your office. And so that's going to be where you're going to want to start, is figuring out how to create security. And then once you've got security, then you can strengthen it with the short, slow sets. And if once you've got that done, then you can start doing the pendulating, and you would pendulate from the secure space into whatever the target's going to be. So an example here is the therapist, once again, working with an adolescent. What about your space makes you feel secure at this moment? And we're working with the young lady who has the turtle and the bearded dragon named Soup. I love that name. And so the client looks around the room and she says her bearded dragon, Lucy, and the turtle Soup. And so the therapist, me, describe in detail for me. And so this is, look, we've already kind of talked about this before. I can hear my turtle tank filter in the background humming. I could hear it as well. You could hear the turtle swimming around. He's actually quite large. She likes to take Lucy, who is a very fat old lizard, and let Lucy sit on her chest, and she pets Lucy, and Lucy just kind of like hangs out and looks around. And then I asked my client how secure she feels, and she said that she felt a 5 out of 1 to 5 as a measurable. And we want to give them that measurable so that we can check in with them every single week. And then the PTSD criterion of A, I'm just giving us some language here when it comes to diagnosis. Having the visual, she had a friend overdosed, and so she had this visual of the friend in the hospital when she went to see her. And I hope this picture isn't too triggering for people. And so I have her in her secured space. I'm grounding her to Soup and Lucy. I'm using her language. I have her petting Lucy. I have her hearing the turtle tank in the background. And then I'm going to shift her into the snapshot. I'm going to do it for 1 to 3 seconds. Then I'm going to do it for 3 to 6 seconds. I'm going to do it for 6 to 10 seconds. Each time checking in with her, doing the exact same thing we did with picture in picture. I like using the counting, once again, using the Dijon's EMDR 2.0 working memory theory. There's a lot of different things that you can do. In fact, one of the presentations I want to do in the next month, I'm doing it for somebody, is how using working memory without bilateral. So that's a whole other thing. But at the end of the day, if you just have the client counting backwards or just toggling them for the short amount of time and checking in and getting permission every single time. That's how we're working on getting the client to stay within their window of tolerance, stay in co-regulation while being exposed to the trauma. And it's a fractionated trauma. It's a titrated trauma. We're doing the pendulation and we're doing the psychoeducation because we're teaching the client as we go along. So our demo here is with Jessica. I've got to keep an eye on time. I'm not going to get to everybody. Oh, thought I was doing well. So Jessica, where is you, girl?
Hello. Yeah.
Where are you? Hold on. I got to figure out what I'm doing. Oh, I know. Wait, let me just write this down for a second. Okay. All right, great. Let me turn this on. Okay. All right. So Jessica, hi.
Hello.
I still can't see you. Hold on. Can one of you guys help me? I can't find Jessica on my screen and I need to pin her.
So Paula, unpin first, whoever was
Unpin.
pin last, and then you're going to have to find Jessica. And Jessica,
She is.
maybe if you just there you go.
I got it. Oh, excellent. Are we in San Francisco?
Yes. Yes. I'm with Heather.
Nice one. You're all over the place. Okay, Jessica. So we are doing CPAWS. And this is Jim Knight's. I mean, this is, gosh, Jim Knight's been around for a long time, and he taught this a long time ago as a way to really be able to work with anyone. I mean, if you're looking for a book that really talks about tools and strategies with dissociative clients, his book, the EMDR Toolbox, is a great place to start. But so Jessica, why don't you tell me about your secure space?
So my secure space is my basement home office. It's very pink and gray. I've got my pink couch. I've got my pink blanket with me. Got plants. Got my like yoga statue thing, Buddha statue. Beautiful art. And I've got my little fan. I've got a heater. So it's very comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what are some of the colors that you see?
Pinks, grays, blues, whites.
Excellent. All right, and you can hear the fan in the background?
Yeah, I've got my little heater going. Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
great. And then what about what you feel? Are you comfortable? What's you have the blanket with
Yeah,
you?
I feel very comfortable. I've got a pillow on my back. It's just very comfortable.
Great, excellent. Okay. So I'm just going to have you can either leave your eyes open, find a place that's comfortable for you, or you can close them. But I'd like for you to just be in your secure space and just notice those colors, the pinks, the grays, the Buddha statue, hearing the fan, noticing your artwork, and then feeling the pillow and the comfortable blanket and your couch. And just take a breath in and exhale out. And what are you noticing?
Just like a calming, like a more of a calming feeling.
Okay, great. And can you just honor that calming and whatever tapping works for you? If you want to use the large butterfly or your feet, just I want you to just honor the calm, be in the calm, the colors, and just start your slow taps. Okay, and then just take a breath in and exhale out. And what are you noticing now?
Just to continue, just that calming sense.
Great.
Relax.
And if you were to give this a Q word, what Q word would you give it?
Relax.
Okay, good. Okay, so can you think of something that is distressing or bothered you in the last couple days that we could use as a target today?
Yeah, so I was had a great weekend. I did EMDR training in Iowa. Was on my way back on the highway, and then I got pulled over, and I got a ticket, speeding ticket. And I was not happy about that because I haven't had tickets in years. So, yeah, that's my thing.
Okay, and what's the worst part?
When he gave me a ticket, like I was like, he could have gave me a warning, but when he comes and hands me the ticket, that was the worst part.
Okay, and then what would be the snapshot of that worst moment?
Looking at the ticket.
Yep. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So what I'd like to do is I would like to toggle you from the relax to the snapshot and then back to the relax. We're going to do this we're going to start with 3 seconds. Then we're going to move to 5, and I will ask permission each time. And we're also going to incorporate the counting as well. Are you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's start in our calm, in our secure space. We're in our relax. We're feeling the pillows and the comfortable couch and the blanket, hearing the heater in the background and seeing our pinks and our grays, our Buddha statue, being in our basement home office where we feel secure. And now I want you to toggle over to that snapshot. And I want you to be in that snapshot and just count backwards from 3 when you're ready.
Just count to 0 or 1. What did my count?
3 down to 1.
3, 2, 1.
Great. Breath in. Exhale out. And just moving back to relax. And now the visuals in your office, looking around your office and seeing the pinks and the grays, hearing the heater, feeling the pillow, feeling calm, that word relax. And tell me what you're noticing.
It's like kind of relaxed, almost kind of thinking of like him letting the ticket go and just kind of relaxing. Just kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. So this time I'd like to move back over to the ticket if you're okay with that. This time we're going to stay in it for 7 seconds. I'm going to have you count backwards from 7 and I'm going to count also. Are you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, so start in your secure space. You're being grounded in your basement, your home office, with all your great colors and art and your heater and your comfortable couch and blanket. And now I want you to toggle over into the snapshot. And when you're ready, just start counting backwards from 7, and I'm going to count also.
7, 6,
5, 6, 7, 8,
5,
9,
4,
7, 6, 5,
3,
4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
1.
Breath in and exhale out. And now move back to your office where you can honor, relax, calm, colors, art, all of your favorite things, the security of your basement, your home office that you've created for yourself. And what are you noticing?
When you started counting, like I was counting, but then when you started counting, it's like the picture got, like you have those TVs and it gets distorted, like you can't see the image anymore. It starts static. That's what happened.
Okay, and when you try to pull that visual up for you right now, that snapshot specifically, can you pull it up or has it changed at all?
It's messed up. It's like the thing, like the TV thing.
Okay.
That's what
So
it's doing.
is it safe to say is it less disturbing than it was before?
Yeah, I can see it a bit, but it's all this is messed up, like the TV thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, all right. And so let's just ground you in your basement again with the pinks, the grays, the Buddha statue, just taking a breath in and exhale out. And looking around your office and pointing to 3 things that are circles. Tell me what they are.
I've got a pillow with the fillings wheel on it. I've got a flower that's pretty. And then I've got a candle. Top of the candle.
3 things that are pink.
My pink couch, pink chair, pink dress on the lady on the picture.
Excellent. And then let's just shake out 3 parts of our body, starting with our wrists, rolling our shoulders, and then stretching out that neck, taking a breath in and exhale out. Okay. So can you just kind of tell everybody what that experience was like? Once again, I didn't measure the suds. Not sure what's up with that, but just, what happened, how it shifted.
Yeah, well, kind of like what I think was it Tori was saying this, or it was saying this, Eric, or one of them were, it felt like I think it was about a 5 before, because I had did a little CID stuff on it, but it was still bugging me. So now I would say, like I said, it's weird. I think it's probably like a 1 now, because I mean it's there, but I literally it's like the static TV thing. Like I can't. Every time I try to go to access it, it's messed up. The image is messed up now.
Right. And that is the shift of visual imagery that we get to offer our clients when we do EMD. And though we can't necessarily do bilateral with our clients, so that is the goal, the shift in visual imagery. All right. Well, thank you very much. And we'll see if we have any questions. Thanks, Jessica.
Yes, we do, from Valerie. Paula, could you comment on the use of these techniques if and when the irritant might have deeper roots, such as if the agency board topic or the being pulled over are more deeply connected to some related past traumas or issues?
That's why we go with the snapshot. All we want is a snapshot. If you take your iPhone camera or whatever camera you use and you take a picture, that is about as fractionated as we can get. We're not looking at a body sensation. We're not looking at sounds. We're not looking. The only thing that could get complicated is if that snapshot is a facial expression that's like haunted you your whole life, but that's the fractionating. And so it's not supposed to connect to anything else because the only reference we're making is that snapshot.
I'm going to go back.
Good question.
Before you go there, I want to share this. So probably I noticed when I was doing the count backwards, especially I think we did 7, it was
Mhm.
working, but when you started it was like that's when it really started messing up.
Yeah,
Is when you
when I,
start doing the
yep.
counting, that's what really made it mess up.
Mhm. And that's what I do. I have the client count first to make sure they're okay with it. And then when I add, that's more distraction. And that's Ed DeJean's whole point. And I know that the way that it's written in the books, you know, they weren't introducing the distraction, and the distraction's relatively new. I mean, working memory's been around forever, but it's just something that we're incorporating in our basic training. So like, why not, right? So good, thank you, Jessica, because I agree with you. I think that that is a big piece of what's helping.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yep, we got from Kate. Sometimes this is going back a little farther. I was trying to understand this. Maybe you'll understand it and I'm just missing. Sometimes when a client speaks of disproportionately strong reaction to a current event, I asked, does this feel familiar? Have you experienced that before? Can you go back to the earliest time when you felt this way? That brings them to the early need not being met usually.
Yeah, and that's loving eyes, basically. You just want to find the child that experienced it. Yeah, you just describe child loving eyes to a T.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Good.
That's what I've got, unless somebody else has some questions they want to put up.
Okay, so here's the thing. We have 10 minutes left, and there's no way I'm going to be able to do, we had two more, and I'm sorry that those that volunteered were not able to go. And so I'm just going to show you the slides, and maybe we could finish it up next time. We've got a date for our next meeting, which was, what did we decide? October, Robert, you got, let's see here.
9th?
9th.
Yes, October 9th is going to be our next meeting. I guess we take the summers off. I'm like, huh. And so October 9th. And so maybe if everybody wants, I could finish it up. If not, you know, we'll see. But like I said, this is the first time we did this. I certainly wouldn't want to have anybody go fast, because that's not, you know, that's not ethical. So, but let's see what's left. So the one that we didn't get to, of course, would be, and it's fine with the EMD Prime. EMD Prime is one tool that's taught. It's different than Francine's EMD in that we don't involve the body. There is bilateral to it. And that would be if the client was able to hold the visual for more than 15 seconds without being disturbed. We would introduce EMD. And so we're not going to do EMD today, which is fine. But the EMDR 2.0, I did want to speak a little bit to that, because that is what we're doing when we're doing the counting. And so I think somebody put out in the chat, but Ed DeJean came to a conference a couple of years ago and just kind of blew everybody away with this concept of desensitizing with distraction. And so he's kind of a sassy guy. And so he's like, you know, we're going to call this MAD, and it's the client needs to be motivated. The event needs to be activated. The target needs to be activated. And then we desensitize with distraction. And the distraction can be absolutely anything. So I've got the clinician upstairs for me as bongos. You know, I do a lot of like drumming and counting. I have a lot of my clients that like math, counting backwards from 81 by 9s, you know, 64 by 8s. Then we also can do spelling. We can have them spell forward, spell backwards. All of this, there is research around how the working memory theory does drop the distraction faster than just bilateral, and bilateral is distracting also. So the more you do, the faster the SUDS is going to drop. And I haven't had anybody, like, I'm not going to do this with my DID client, even though I guess I kind of have a little bit, but for clients that are dissociative, this works well with these tools. Okay, doing the fragmenting, the titrating, the pendulating, and then once again with the education. So that's how I'm going to wrap up right now. And I'm sorry we didn't get to the last two demonstrations, and I just want to thank Heather and Rebecca for volunteering, and I'm sorry we didn't get to you. Maybe we'll be able to do it next time. And that's my bad, because I'm usually a really good time manager, but I've never done this before. So I just wanted to now I know. Okay, so Robert, I'm going to end there, and you can take it away.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Paula. And I think your pace was wonderful, and I think trying to rush any of this it doesn't, like you say, do justice to the volunteers, but also to the material. Because I think the pacing, we were able to really get a real sense of it. And even though I've seen some of this before, I still picked up a lot of things, especially incorporating a lot of the stuff from René de Jong, which I had not seen before. So that for me was very, very useful in that. So I want to make sure to thank as well the volunteers that Paula has from her team that coming out on a Sunday for everyone. And all the people that generally come to the meetings live, but we're going to definitely provide the recording. And the October 9th meeting, we generally have it around topics that come from the actual conference, which will be in September. I think a couple weekends, we put the dates out there. There's no material yet on it other than the dates. I think September 9th to 11th was the first weekend, and then the following weekend. So if any of you attend the conference and you'd be wanting to discuss, a particular conference or workshop that kind of blew you away, or you're really interested in talking about it, we'd love to have you. Just generally in the past, we've had people present around 20 minutes, something like that, about some of the conferences they may have attended, because we want to make sure to stay on. As you can see, Paula stays on the cutting edge of a lot of things that are just coming out. So often you'll see those things at the conference too, some innovations such as de Jong that were there years ago. So if you're interested, please contact me or Paula. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the fall and enjoying the summer. And I will be sending the recording to Paula. She'll be posting it on the website. And somebody asked about Paula before about the actual slideshows. And I said, because a lot of material you've gathered is from others.
Yeah, I can get that to you. That's not a problem. Yeah.
But
I just have to figure out how to do it. So maybe Eric can help me, but I just want to thank everybody. We don't do evaluations, but I'm always wanting to, improve my teaching. And so if you want to throw, some comments in there, what you liked, what you didn't, I'll stick around and read the chat. And then also the polyvagals a week from Wednesday, and our next meeting is going to be October 9th. So thank everybody for coming. And then maybe if the team wants to stay on, if you can, since we have you all for a minute, and we'll see everybody later.
I'm going to stop the recording now, Paula.
Okay.